Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Riding season is among us. People, now is the best time to get a fresh lid for the 2024 riding season. Simpson has you covered in both style and safety department. Their iconic style is available in many different models and finishes. Head on over to simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com to check out their options and give them a follow on the gram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. It's been a solid 5 years since I met Kyle from Forever Rad. In the years since, we have shared some miles alongside each other, many late night deep convos on podcasts, and I've got to witness the creation of Forever Rad. Kyle is known for his attention to detail in his builds, along with his imagination pushing outside of the norms in the custom motorcycle industry, with what is best described as a skater's influence. In this episode, we talk a little bit about the new things happening in the Forever Rad compound, the addition of Sprengel, a amazing custom painter who is going to be joining Kyle on property. We got Steve Chamberlin in the house talking a little bit about what he has going on, and it was an overall good time. Over the past year, Cowboy Harley-Davidson has been putting in the work to help bring together various aspects of the motorcycle culture within the Austin, Texas community. They have supported not only the podcast, but also many local bike events and shows, including our FXR tour. I want to express my gratitude to the entire staff at Cowboy Harley for their support. I've had the pleasure of purchasing 2 bikes from Cowboy Harley-Davidson in my lifetime. Most recently, I bought a Lowrider ST, which was dialed in with a few custom parts that I pretty much got to have on every bike. Whether you are in the market for a new or used Harley-Davidson or looking to get your motorcycle customized, repaired, or simply maintained, you can count on their professional parts and service departments to get your bike dialed. To get in touch with them, you can visit their website, cowboyharleyaustin.com, or simply drop in and start a conversation about your next or even your first Harley-Davidson. And don't forget to give them a follow on the gram to stay up to date with all the other happenings and events going around in the Austin, Texas area. I have been using Lexin moto products for the past 6 years, and they have been an integral part of my riding experience. My journey with them started with their original FT4 headset and tire pump, but now I've upgraded to their top-of-the-line Novus headset, which features 40mm Lexin Plus speakers, CVC and DSP noise cancellation technology. With the Mesh 3.0 power technology behind it, I can connect with up to 32 riders on any given ride. Their new P5 Advanced Smart Tire Pump is a must-have for every biker. I always keep one in my garage, and it comes in handy during long trips if my phone battery or tire pressure is low. For more information on these fantastic products, check out their website, lexin-moto.com, and don't forget to use the offer code FASTLIFE at checkout to save you 15% on your order. And lastly, head on over to Instagram and give these guys a follow at Lexin Moto.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
So here we are.
Welcome back
Yeah,
to
dude.
the Fast Life Podcast.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
You didn't mean that, Simpson.
I was literally just listening to Joe Rogan all day, and they kept talking about that whole situation, so it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I am here at the Forever Rad. You got like a name for this place yet? Is it the compound, the warehouse, the...
Pretty much the compound.
Yeah.
I
You gotta
wanted-
have like a cool name like that.
Yeah, I wanted to go for Fantasy Factory, but I don't have enough money for that.
Spinning on skateboards.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to get a mini horse eventually, but it's
He's
just
been
tough.
trying that for a long time.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
you just need to get it like a...
tough times right now.
What do they call them nowadays? I think the politically correct term?
About mini horses?
No, a small person.
Oh,
Small people, small horses.
Yeah, just get you a small person to just live under the stairs like Harry Potter.
I feel like midgets don't actually care if you call them midgets. I'm just
For real?
saying.
I didn't know if that was a thing or not.
Yeah, there's this thing about dwarfs. Like legally, you have to be, it's like 4'8", maybe.
Oh.
And that makes you a dwarf.
Are you able to speak for the dwarf community?
Well, I'm short. So there's that.
There's
But I'm huge in Japan. So there's also that.
Man, the lines are blurred, huh? Well, man, I'm sorry that I fucked up this morning and forgot a key piece of equipment that would have allowed us to video this and made it so much more visually pleasing to you know, the world. So
you done fucked up, but we'll get them next time. It's fine. There's not much to see here. There's just like 15 really cool motorcycles.
yeah, I mean Indians though.
200 skateboards and Sprengel's wearing sweatpants right now. Real talk.
Yeah, Dixon in sweatpants. That's the thing, huh?
Yeah.
It is now.
Are they
I'm not proud
like
of it.
legit sweatpants? Like,
No, they're just comfy.
oh, are you just like athletic as fuck?
No, not even close.
He was not wearing Crocs. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the
There's that.
acquired apparel
Yeah,
where I live. So I do own a pair, by the way.
Crocs.
They're camo.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
And I've not left my property in them.
That's commendable.
Well, I have an image to protect, but I do
Can
intend.
you kickflip in Crocs?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Probably not first try, but probably in the first 3 tries.
I think that's fair. If you can kickflip in Crocs and you can wear them wherever you want.
I could probably do it. I've not tried it.
Mm.
Steve, do you think I could kickflip in Crocs? Sorry.
Yeah.
This is a yes or no question.
Nod.
Steve says no. Blink once for
I was
yes.
just getting ready to say that.
Bet. We'll put it on Instagram tomorrow.
Well, first time, huh? Sprengel. First
Yeah.
time we've had Sprengel on the podcast.
Never done this kind of thing before.
Are you scared?
A little bit.
Nervous?
Oh, man, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm in the presence of greatness here.
Oh, shit. Come on now.
Well, we've always said you had a fucking face for radio. So
We know that's right.
I think it's pretty good.
you're doing okay.
You got some
Ooh.
symmetry going on, brother.
Show him the bald spot.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh,
New
that ain't-
haircut.
no, that ain't bad.
He buzzed his head. I was so proud of him. Look at this, dude.
You got
It's not good. I have a haircut on Thursday. I'll be looking fresh for Mama Tried, okay?
okay.
Don't
Are you
judge.
going to Mama Tried?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, I love that show. It's got such a vibe. And I haven't been to the one in February. I've only been to the makeup year that you were at too,
Yeah,
right?
December.
And it just has a feeling when you're there. You know what I mean? Like Harleys in the air.
hmm
You know?
Yeah, just Milwaukee. It's a
Yeah.
vibe, and downtown's cool. Just seems like everybody. Well, you've been to Milwaukee before,
Yeah. I've
but
been to Milwaukee, but never been to.
it just
Montreal.
seems like everybody there just breathes automotive, gearhead, oil. Like they're all just kind of on the same page, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Doesn't this whole like Midwest, like on the Mississippi, kind of have that working class kind of feel though?
Yeah, I think
Like-
so.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably.
We got a pretty good mix.
Well, we're eclectic in St. Louis. We have a lot of culture here.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What kind of culture? Like Saint Lunatics culture
Like
or
red hot riplets.
Red Hot Riplets?
You want to try those live
No,
on
I
the
don't. I don't
podcast?
actually.
Pretty
They
good.
don't sound delicious at all.
Look, they're right there. There's a bag right there.
Oh man, there totally is.
Yes.
We need to get the Texas guy some red hot riplets.
I agree. We can
Yeah,
hear
let's
'em.
eat chips on an audio podcast.
No, it's a Midwest thing for sure. Everybody kind of grew up having to work on their own things, and we all learned how to do things at a young age, and etc.
Yeah. Well,
So,
when did you get into all this? Like, I've heard his story like 5 different times on this podcast.
never on a video podcast, by the way.
Actually, in the studio we did.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
When?
Like, what was the draw that put you in the path of, paint and all the different shit that you dabble in?
Oh man, that goes way back. So I would say just the enjoyment of art, as a late middle schooler, early high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then ditched sports in high school and just did 4-wheeler racing and cars. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to keep going with cars. This is a real world thing. And then I just kind of meshed the art into it.
So, did you have like an art background in high school and stuff like that? Like, were you?
No, I dropped out of all the art classes. It was horrible.
What did you actually do in high school besides climb into the water towers and go swimming?
Let's
Just
not talk
highly
about that.
illegal, by the way.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
It's fine. Your mother's not going to listen to this.
Did you pee in the water?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
Oh, could you
It's got a
imagine?
filter.
People probably do that.
Yeah,
Gross.
Yeah.
little floater in there.
What did I do in high school? I worked my ass off in high school the first few years and was a nerd. So then the last year of high school, I just put it on cruise control and worked at a body shop half the day. So I got school credits for like co-op program. I think they still call it that.
Yeah.
Co-op program at the body shop and low man on the totem pole.
Oh yeah, I love a totem pole. Good
Yeah.
totem pole is like bring it back.
We've
Yeah.
all swept some floors in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't sweep
Every day I went straight from high school to go take the trash out at the body shop.
My oldest swept the floor yesterday,
Yeah,
just for you.
for real.
Oh, it's a shit show here. Let me tell you, it's been
Yeah.
a busy winter.
Smooth floors that are dirty is like one of the biggest pet peeves.
Right.
You know
I
what I mean?
vacuum everything.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like I don't ever open my door because then all of a sudden everything blows in,
Right.
and I just don't like dirty floors, man. It's you ever had that like when you work in a shop, like if you should be able to drop a hard piece of candy or a piece of chocolate and pick it up and eat it,
Or a red hot riplet.
maybe.
We have
Oh,
at
for
least
sure
a
on
couple
that.
hours left to try this.
Okay,
so
yeah, whatever.
we'll circle back.
But you know, I used to enjoy whenever they would ask me to sweep the booth. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah," because I just took pride in that. You know, and I would, and I still to this day use like a little hand broom, and I short stroke that shit all the way around and get every little square inch, and it's like it's kind of satisfying. Like you see those videos where like sandblasting or blasting paint off a sidewalk, or
Yeah,
you
just watching shit disappear.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just the same.
I do that
kind
with
of
a
feeling.
water hose.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't sweep. I just hose it out.
Yeah.
Did you know that one of my kids is addicted to video games? Shocker.
Yeah,
There's a video game of nothing but pressure washing. For real, for real. And so, hey, I'm
Wow.
almost 39. I love pressure washing.
just get him a pressure washer, dude. Do it in real life.
He doesn't play the game, but he showed it to me.
Oh,
There's another one about cutting grass.
Mhm.
You just cut grass. And I'm not old enough for that yet, but it's a thing.
There's a weird. There was a thing on YouTube I had saw this guy that just like goes up to a random house and offers to cut the grass just to video it.
Mhm.
Mildly satisfying.
Just watching him cut
Just
grass.
watching them cut grass.
Is it POV? Like you can watch him
No,
while
it's
he's-
not. No, that's no. It's not a moto. It's not a grass vlogger.
Okay.
You know, it's more of a.
Does he do like an aerial view with a
I
drone?
think
or something?
so. I mean, I really. It's usually like a tripod setup, and you just see him do the back and forth and the crisscross lines and shit. I don't know. It's
Man.
weird what kind of fucking captivates people.
It's no wonder my helmet's not finished yet. I mean,
For me, of course not, because I don't have one on the order. You know, we stopped doing bells in the aughts.
I'll take that. You know, I have the trifecta right now with
Yeah, you got
three
the-
of some of the best painters in the world, in my
The
opinion.
question is, who's number 1, 2, and 3?
Oh,
Big Trouble hit me a long time ago with that shit. and I'm
Did he?
still- Yeah.
I talked to him today, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I tried to call him this morning. He didn't answer. And then when I got here, he texted me about like, "Hey, I'm free." I'm like, "Oh man,
I think he's becoming the governor of Florida right now.
serious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That would be sick."
He's
That would
moving
be
up.
awesome.
Yeah, last time I seen him, he was wearing a suit. He said,
Oh.
"I'm doing something with Congress," and I said, "It's above my pay scale,
Yeah.
but I'm coming to see you next week." And I don't know if that's going to happen. I think he's out of town, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll hit him on the way back.
Having a brand like Arlen support the Fast Life podcast is absolutely surreal. Decades before I fell in love with motorcycles, the Nest brand was right there innovating and inspiring generation after generation. The brand's long-standing history and dedication to the custom motorcycle industry is truly remarkable. I have been fortunate enough to use many of their products on my Road Glide, Lowrider ST, and FXR chopper over these past few years. I love their 4 and 6 piston brake calipers, wheels, and bagger mid controls. And I use Arlen air cleaners on all my bikes. And even after thousands of miles, the parts still look and feel new. If you're interested in learning more about the Arlen motorcycle products, head on over to arlens.com where you can find out more information and see their vast catalog. And for our listeners, if you drop the Fast Life 10 offer code at checkout, you're going to save yourself 10% on your order. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on Instagram at Arlen Motorcycles to stay up to date with all the happenings around the brand. Now let's get back to the show.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Yeah.
I like all three of them equally.
There you go.
I truly,
We're like kids. You
No,
gotta-
I truly do. I feel like I wore, for the first year, I wore my first one, which was from you. I wore that just every single day.
Mhm.
And then the second year, I didn't touch it. And then the third year, I didn't touch either of the first two. And
Well,
now
that's the
I'm like,
point. Yeah, you
yeah,
get
now I
one a
want to
year.
dabble in both of them.
Okay.
Still love
You want to
all three
mix
of
it
them.
up?
I want to do more. I have another one, and I've been begging Sprengel to paint a helmet for
Yeah,
me
dude.
for,
What's up? Paint a helmet, man.
well,
We're getting there.
probably about 13 years now. He's probably started on at least 2 or 3 for me. I know one is still in a shop right
Well,
now.
let me ask you this: like,
It just never finished them.
helmets are like a they take, if you're used to painting like bikes and cars and things that are bigger, a helmet becomes like a tedious little pain in the ass
Oh, definitely.
until you change.
I think it's all mental for me. Like I'm air quotes, not a helmet painter.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I think it all stems. We've gotten to the bottom of this before. I think it all stems from you tell somebody that helmet is going to take twice as long as your chopper tank. You're okay paying $1,500 for a chopper tank to be badass, but you won't give me $3,000 for a badass helmet.
Mm-hmm.
It just puts a bad taste in my mouth with local customers. But I've always been the local guy.
Yeah,
I'm not getting them shipped in like you and Poland and Jeremy and all that.
It definitely does. Dude, getting away from the local market was like achieving the next level of life in a career, right? Because
Kyle's been trying to get me to go farther than local for a long time.
local's safe, but it's also, you always have people that are going to play that local card. Like, you know, it's like having a business card. Like, who the fuck needs a business card? Like,
Yeah,
a business card is so someone can price shop you.
right.
You know what I mean? Unless you
Right.
have some kind of like service that a business card plays in. But like, if you're going to Sturgis and handing out business cards, dude, what
Right.
does this look like?
I get asked that a lot lately.
Yeah.
And shockingly, it's local people that bring it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, man, just go on Google.
Yeah.
All right. I'm all over Google. We're on Google Maps.
I'm big on the Googles, man.
We're on the Instagrams and the Facebooks. I know you're on Facebook, sir.
Yeah.
You're over 60.
Yeah.
And he's still just, no, I need a business card so I can hand it out to my friends. And it's like, if you can't remember my name
Yeah.
to mention my name to your friends, it's probably not worth mentioning.
For sure.
Right? I mean, it's not that important at the end of the day.
Well, I think that their perspective is that like they all are, yeah, they think that is really helpful, and I guess the sentiment is good. Like for someone to be like, hey man, I want to let my friends know about you. Like it's an appreciative thing,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's just so old school.
it
you
is,
know?
and realistically, like what you end up getting is a whole bunch of people that are just like trying to, you're playing a game, like you're playing a almost like a filling each other out, like. Hey, well, how much would you charge to do this? And like, well, how much you looking to spend? I don't know. How much you want to, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, you know, that's why I've always I got a menu, and hey, a number one with cheese and mustard is this much. And
Mustard, super hot.
yeah, still hot.
Mustard's always
It's been
gonna be
going
hot.
for years.
I don't know.
The hard thing with like helmets, okay, so maybe this will, you know, for you or whatever. And I think Jeremy, we talked once, and someone told us that we were price fixing. I was like, well, I'd rather people pick us.
2 painters speaking on a podcast together about helmet pricing.
Well, I think in general, because I feel like it would be better. And I think that you're not allowed to do this in like the world or whatever. But if Jeremy and I are kind of similar in price, then people are going to pick based on the artwork and not the
for
price,
sure. Mhm.
right? Or maybe the time frame, like that he could do one or I could do one, right? But to me, it's like I can do this much under this price, and I can, if you want to add this, it's this, and it kind of goes up. And yeah, you can get to a $5,000 helmet, but rarely has that ever happened.
Sure.
But
That
then
used to happen with like full on bike paint jobs back in the day. I
Yeah.
just got with the local painters because I was the local guy. Get with local painters and be like, hey man, don't be selling yourself short. Let's all stay up top or we're going to cut each other's throat until we're all done.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not price gouging. It's just holding our ground and make some money.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to do,
Right.
man. Yeah,
If you
but
got a garage painter guy, let him spray paint some stuff if that's what their budget wants to fit. But,
yeah,
you know, the people that are doing legit work and buying legit materials and doing it the right way.
paying a shop, you know.
Well,
Right.
that same thing turns into a conversation like motorcycle shops.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
you know, average around St. Louis, Harley dealership, motorcycle dealership,
Mhm.
I don't know, 130, 140.
Pretty cheap compared to like
well,
other.
you say that, and I'm like 130, 140. What? That is so expensive. I'm cheaper than that.
Yeah,
And I'm the old school guy that's like, damn, that's expensive.
Right.
I remember the days when shop labor rate was, hell, insurance companies were $60 an hour on an insurance estimate at the
Yeah.
body shop.
Right. and so then, like you say, that's cheap. You go to Dallas, Austin, whatever, it's 175, and it's become the norm. Well, it's the same way with body shops.
Yeah.
You know, you have it's a little less important with insurance paying for body shop bills, but I mean, I listen to Sprengel talk about body shops, you know, average price is $60 an hour. And the whole time I'm like, yo, you're way better than those people.
Yeah.
You don't have to charge that.
I never really learned that method of like hourly things. I just kind of did the basic, like typically on a helmet, I'd usually have anywhere from 20 to maybe high end 40 hours in one, like tearing it apart, sanding it all, like the whole drawing, everything.
Right.
And I've always just tried to baseline everything I do at $100 an hour. Now, realistically, it gets to a point where I'm not going to get much over 20 hours paid on like the actual
Everything
labor and
has
paint,
a
you know?
monetary value to it.
But I'm also kind of like okay with that, because if I'm at least getting that, then I'm willing to go to these next levels to make sure it's like everything it could be within the confines of what I'm willing to do.
You feel like you've been there for a long time?
Yeah.
Like since day one?
No, I had to learn those things.
Right,
you know?
right.
But
yeah, I just, because, you know, we always struggle with, and I don't want to turn it into an inflation conversation, but just the cost of life right now.
Oh yeah, right now it's hard because
we talked about earlier. Look at what your shop,
yeah,
what your shop payment is. And I hear that and I'm like, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And I've been to your shop a couple of times.
Yeah,
you're not in the middle of
yeah
downtown where it's happening. Like,
but it's funny. I tell you that, and you're like, that's ridiculous. But I tell someone in other parts of the country, like, damn, that's good.
Exactly.
So it's such a crazy perspective swing.
And the paint the labor rate with paint or motorcycle building or anything, it all kind of falls into that category. So
I mean, it trickles all the way down to fast food.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine just went to California. You've been to California. And he's like, man, you can't go to Subway and get a 6-inch sandwich for much less than $20.
Dude,
I'm like,
it's
what?
kind of insane. Like a 12-incher is like $15 and some. I mean, it's all different. You would literally be on a road trip and then you're at one spot. It's like a turkey, sandwich, BLT or whatever is like, $12.50 for a foot long. And then you go literally down the street a couple towns over and it's like $16.
Right.
It's like that with hotels in California too. I mean, even the shittiest of the shittiest is $300 a night.
Oh my God.
But if you're traveling through Oklahoma, it's still
$59.99.
Yeah, well, it's still 106 with tax, Right.
But,
yeah. I mean, that's just how it is. But
so I actually had Motel 6, but it has a resort fee on it or some shit.
Yeah. I had a good conversation with a guy from California yesterday, which is not uncommon, but for some reason he mentioned something about hey, since all these guys with baggers are running their baggers without bags on their bikes, I think we should, not we, but he was just, making a point. There should be a product that exists that make your fender struts look nicer for a bagger without bags. And I was like, listen, like I hear you, but I don't know. I don't see anybody running bagless baggers.
Well,
right?
Epic Moto had that for a while and it didn't really take off.
Yeah, they kind of made their own actual kit for it. But I was like, I don't really see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, oh, it must just be a Cali thing. And I said, well, obviously everything starts in Cali.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, everything but the big wheel baggers. And he goes, that's from Phoenix. And I said, yeah, but all those people in Phoenix, they all moved to Phoenix from Cali, right?
Yeah.
And then he didn't get shitty with me, but it was just a funny, it was a funny thing because, like us not being from Cali and the Cali guys taking a lot of credit and a lot of pride. It's cool to not have to like really get pissed at each other over that. It's all just in good fun at this point. Or at least
I'm glad we're past all that.
At least I hope it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. It's just crazy how that all transpired. But, with the paint stuff, like how do you deal with like trying to stay? I mean, I guess me and him talk so much about you and your paint that like I feel like I'm at a different level of conversation that I actually had with you. You know what I mean? So
right, we haven't sat down and talked that much.
Yeah. But where are you at with it? I mean, you've been doing it for 25 years, right?
20
years. Yeah. So we're the same in that regard. I've been in the motorcycles for 20 years, but probably 25 years on actual paint, like because I grew up in a body shop kind of thing, which I'm sure you have too, right?
No, I didn't grow up in a body shop. I just started working there and started liking it and never left it. or it never left me, whatever you want to say. But
It's, I mean,
last year was my 20th year in business. So
yeah, that's fucking awesome. It's like paint younger. Like it seems like it seemed like a solid like career path.
right.
And I think it is if you're in like production, insurance world like that. Like,
Oh yeah.
but I mean, 20 years in it now, like I'm thinking like, fuck, man, how many years have I taken off my life? You know what I mean?
Right.
Wouldn't you feel that way about any profession though?
I don't know.
Or are you speaking from the chemical bad for your
More,
health?
I'm thinking about the chemical, just
Okay. Yeah.
The
you know,
wear and
like
tear.
it's like if you're doing it in a production way, it's a little bit, I think it's a little easier to follow like super strict guidelines of like, rubber gloves and fucking eye protection and ventilation suits and all this crazy shit, right? But when you're a custom painter and you're just like airbrushing, like I can't fucking wear a mask while I airbrush. It's like I'm too
no.
close to it.
Right.
It's like hitting and shit. So it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna sacrifice these 3 weeks that I'm about to lose off my life because I need to make this really nice.
Right.
And so you compound that over 20 years, and next thing you know, you just shaved off like 15 years of your life.
Right.
We talk about that often in the sense, not the chemical killing yourself side as I'm sitting here smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
But I often look back at like, man, you remember that? And I do this with Sprengel all the time because we've been working together for 13 years now. And we have just poured our hearts and souls into so many large, big projects. And at the end of the day, you're like, well, there's 2 years we're never going to get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, you kind of reflect on that as you get older.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because we realize that we are getting closer to dying, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of want to savor that as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I can hear that.
When we're young, we're hungry and we got to prove ourselves and make money and survive and learn.
Make a name.
Yeah. All
build
that.
the clientele list, all that.
All that goes
That's
into
tough.
it for sure.
So when did the art side of it come into play for you? You know what I mean?
It was kind of there in the beginning. There was a local pinstripe guy, your standard used to be in the union, whatever they called it, lettering guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he lettered every truck, every van, every semi, every business window.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Dude, I'd love to take a class doing that now. It's so rad.
Yeah. So I kind of grew up looking at this guy and just thought it was cool. I was like, man, I'm going to teach myself how to pinstripe. And that went south one time, and then it went south a second time, and then it went south a third time. And finally, I'm like, man, I just can't get it. I went to Wyotech right after high school, and literally Laramie, Wyoming, there's nothing to do after school. So I went to night school. I'm a night person. Any other time and on the weekends, I was airbrushing and practicing pinstriping in my little apartment that we were renting together. Yeah. I figured out how to do it. I was like, there ain't nobody else that's going to do a flame job.
What was the inspiration though? Like, was there like a trend, like whether it was mini trucks or something like that kind of like drew, like,
oh yeah, that's a good, I know what you're saying. I don't know. I think the trend was, that was kind of the time whenever Jesse James was coming out with the Motorcycle Manias. And then we were just coming off of, I don't know if you guys would relate, but you go get Truckin' Magazine, and there's just the badass Truckin' Magazine, 1998, and it's just paint.
You're in a safe spot, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
You used to do JDM weirdo lame ass Mitsubishi type Eclipse type things.
I owned an Eclipse, custom painted it, and put it on air ride.
Yeah, and Jace, he was into like Nissans and 240 TXs and
come on, dude, don't
what
disrespect
that lame drift stuff. You guys are okay. You come cut from the same piece of cloth. Didn't you always tell me? I'm not trying to correct your story.
No, you're good.
Didn't you always tell me that your dad thought it would be cool if you learned how to pinstripe, and he got you a kit when you were about 14? Or did you make all that shit up?
So my dad was a truck driver. No.
That's a pretty big part of it, really.
Yeah, it is. That is too. And maybe that's why I was looking at the local pinstriper saying, man, that dude's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, my dad was always, he was always a truck driver. So he was always buying the vinyl pinstripes and just laying vinyl pinstripes all over his truck. And my childhood growing up was cleaning the truck with my dad. Like I'm still good with that to this day. But yeah, maybe that was it. And so there was always the Louisville Truck Show, Mid-America Truck Show is what it was called.
I believe the correct term is Louisville.
Yeah.
Gotta
Get
say
straight.
it
Yeah, that's the Midwest.
Put a
coming out in me.
bag of marbles in your mouth.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So we were down there at the truck show, and there was a stand that had Bugler pinstripers. Do you remember those?
Yes.
All right. So as a little kid, I'm like, oh, let me try that. That's cool. And I laid out some designs, and my dad's like, I'll buy you one of those if you'll use it. And the guy selling it, I don't know if he was just full of shit or whatever, but he's like, man, you're pretty good at that. And I'm like, all right. So to this day, like all the ductwork and like cellar doors in my parents' basement is all Bugler pinstriping. I only had two colors.
dude.
I only had two colors, maroon and white, because my dad's truck was maroon and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never tried the bugler. I always have a hard time saying that, but
Makes you think of chips.
yeah.
And then you want to put them on your fingers.
But
Steve's like, yep. Mm-hmm.
I love those. But no, man. The reason I asked was like, what was because usually like the custom paint thing, it's like tied to some kind of scene. You know, like,
Right.
oh, I'm into mini trucks and everybody's doing this and you see it, or it's motorcycles, or it's, you know, like you go to Six Flags and there's a t-shirt airbrush artist everywhere,
Right.
you know? So it's usually connected to something. It's rare that you find someone that's just like, yeah, I was just hanging out at Hobby Lobby and I saw they had these little airbrushes in the model section. Thought I'd give it a swing. It's like,
Right.
it's rarely.
I think it came like equally from, hey mom, let me get the new Truckin' magazine at the store.
Mhm.
Hey mom, let me get Cycle World or Chopper World or who knows what it was back then. But it's like, I think it was just kind of a combination of all that.
Mm.
I just thought hot rods and cars were cool. My dad thought they were cool, but I mean, he wasn't into hot rods. Everybody's constantly like, oh man, was your dad a hot rod builder? Was your dad a bike builder? I'm like, no, he was a truck driver. Mom was a florist. That's where I'm coming from.
It all started with a 1981 Camaro.
Hell
It's
yeah.
a 80,
Mm-hmm.
and this is on record. It is a 1980. That was my first car.
Nobody cares.
At least it wasn't like the Knight Rider style. That was still 80 was still the the 70s look
Yeah,
on the Camaros, right?
second gen. But who's counting?
91. Hey. It's kind of a cool story, though. He had an 80 Camaro in high school.
That was my first car. Got it
Yeah.
when I was 15.
Had like
Begged
some,
my mom to go to Walmart anytime we could with my permit because
Yeah,
she had
like-
to ride with me.
had like rallies on it and
Uh-huh.
Okay.
like a trans lock.
Like a RS or some shit like that, or
This is Z28.
Oh,
Orange. It's
okay.
an orange. Okay, I'll build it for you. 1980 orange Z28. No stripes, just all orange with Corvette rallies on it.
And you did have a mullet at that time?
No, never had a mullet in my life.
Lame. Anyways, he sold it like we all did, our first car.
Yeah.
And this had to be.
mine was an Oldsmobile, not even a cool one.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Not a Cutlass.
We ain't gonna talk about my first car right now. But I don't remember the year. I was working with you, and we had it was right around. I remember this. I don't remember the year. It was right around SEMA time. We were finishing a truck that we had built and painted, and you were like, "I'm gonna go buy my Camaro."
Yeah.
And it was local. He found his first car. It had been like 15,
Damn.
I don't know, 10, 15 years later.
Yeah.
And I was like, but we're working all these hours. I did like 100 hours this week. I got to get a paycheck. And he's like, nah, I can't afford to pay you. I'm going to buy my old car instead. I was so
I'm sure
mad.
that I did not.
That's
I did
exactly
not
what
go that-
happened. Of course, that's what happened. Anyways, he bought that fucking car back.
Uh-huh.
And he still owns it to this day.
That's
Yeah.
cool to be able to do that.
It's a fucking piece of shit. It has no floors in it. I
It's
mean,
about to get
anything's fixable, of
Right.
course.
One day.
I get the sentiment to it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's just like for the last like 8 years, I've always been like, man, we can find you an 81 Camaro, 80. We can find you the same car and just paint it orange. It's fine. It doesn't have to have a matching VIN. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, I got my first car back. So I'm like just slightly jealous a little bit.
Yeah. That's
It's not that
pretty
bad.
cool to have.
It's not that bad. Just
It's-
needs floors and
Everything.
I'm-
Yeah,
I mean, once you get into it,
I mean,
everything needs to be addressed.
What else can I say about the ThunderMax products and the team behind them? I have run the ThunderMax tuners on my fuel-injected Harleys years before I met the men behind the brand. Now for the last 5 years, ThunderMax has not only supported our podcast, but have been a big supporter of everything from small events to the biggest rallies across America. For those of you who are not familiar with the ThunderMax tuners, they replace your fuel-injected Harley ECM and O2 sensors with their proprietary ECM module, and wideband O2 sensors. This allows your computer to auto-tune itself based on the readings from those wideband O2 sensors. Adding a new exhaust, cam, or big bore kit has never been easier, with the ThunderMax units eliminating the need for dyno tuning and its reoccurring costs. To learn more about their products, visit thunder-max.com. If you decide to make a purchase, remember to use the Fast Life offer code at checkout to save 10% on your order. Finally, don't forget to follow the team on Instagram at ThunderMaxEFI. So how did you get like so wrapped up into the custom car culture here and doing all the cars you used to do and stuff like that? So is it just the matter of networking, hitting up meets and things like that, and word of mouth hustling back in the day, which is how we all had to do?
Business cards that we talked about a minute ago.
Oh yeah.
Do you still have any of your first? I have every one of the business cards I ever made still. Like,
it makes me
at
feel
least
good
one.
because I have every one of them too.
I never gave them all out.
Yeah. Jesus.
You got to have a little bit of a balls to walk up and hand somebody a business card.
Wait, you're 40, right?
Yeah. 41. I'm
41. He's gonna be 40 pretty soon. Yeah, y'all just old. That's all it is.
It was the times.
Fucking boomers.
It was the times.
I designed my own business cards on like some website.
So did he.
And printed them out, and they were sick. They were like gloss and flat, and I was like,
yeah,
we can do gloss and flat clear.
Absolutely. We're all still super proud of you two.
Yeah.
For designing your own business cards.
Good.
Yeah.
I am. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
But no, I got wrapped up in it because I left Wyotech, came back home, never really wanted to start my own thing. Painted a PT Cruiser with an American flag all over it for my first job. That was actually my boss at the body shop that I worked at in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Painted this PT Cruiser, just poured my heart and soul into it. That was my first like full on car paint job out of Wyotech. And then everybody saw it. Everybody freaked out. My old boss said, "Man, I gotta introduce you to the local bike shop." And went to the local bike shop. He's like, "All right, I'll give you a shot. Paint this bike for me. I'm taking it to this little rally or whatever." Loved it. Sent me another one. Ended up doing, I did a Plymouth Prowler.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was kind of bouncing around cars to motorcycles to trucks to my own stuff here and there.
I feel like back in the day, it was kind of easy to be true to just being a painter and not be like, I'm a bike painter, or I'm a lowrider car painter, or you know what I mean?
Right.
The running joke was always if it would sit still long enough, he would paint it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I still use that today.
Yeah. Well, I worked with him in his shop for 13 years, and you name it, laptops, cell phones, wheelchairs, walking canes,
microphones.
Microphones. Forget bikes, cars, trucks. I'm talking just off the wall. He's painted prosthetic arms and legs. I mean, you name it. I've seen him paint it. He painted a Ronald McDonald one time, like that big ass statue out front of a McDonald's.
Yeah. Restored it.
Yeah.
Restored it.
Well, as a painter, you just get those phone calls like, "Hey, do you guys do living rooms, and how much does it cost?" Right.
I think it's that artist brain. That artist brain, somebody shows up and says, "I got this Ronald McDonald with its arm around a envision, like an imaginary person on a bench.
Mm-hmm.
I want it restored." And you're like, "Yeah, I'll set all 18 tanks to the side. Let me work on Ronald McDonald. This sounds like a challenge."
Yeah.
We are not wired the same at all.
Hey. Well, big bills, you got to pay those bills.
Yeah. Well, I would always just get like, "Hey man, my kid's got a baseball game helmet and a hockey helmet." And it's like, man, you're not going to fucking spend $1,000 on a helmet paint job for your kid. Maybe you would, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It's like I just didn't like doing a lot of shit. I know a lot of badass painters that were like drawn to the most obscure things they could paint and the challenges, but I was the opposite. I was like, I'm trying to be good at one thing. I don't want to fucking do all this other stuff.
See, we're opposite in that aspect because
when I didn't have to paint, like I did before, I had a long stint where I just did artwork, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get back to, right? And that stint was awesome because I would go into a bike paint shop and do bike graphics and airbrush, and then I would go to a car shop, lay out flames, and do real fire behind it. And like I would do that, but I was just coming in to do artwork. But if you come to my shop and then I got to take apart a truck and do a flame job and a candy job, and then I got to go over here and paint this, and then, you know, it's like I just don't, it's just too much, you know?
Well, I think that's where things really ramped up for him is when I moved down here and I started working for him. We, as a team, took it to the next level. So it's his name, it's his talent, he's the painter.
Yeah.
But do the things that you hate, tearing a bike down, tearing a truck down, putting it back together, doing the modifications while it's torn apart, the snowball effect. Oh, it's sitting there. Why don't you put some ape hangers on it? Why don't you throw some air ride on it? Right. I was a guy kind of good at a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
Right. So that I naturally just got better every single day in all of that kind of thing. And he was able to focus on just the paint side and the finish side. And we just created the perfect team and accomplished a lot of stuff. And fast forward to where we're at now, and you kind of start to question, like, okay, how hard do we want to keep going? You know, like we're getting older.
I mean, how hard can you keep going? I mean,
it hurts.
Up,
yeah,
it hurts more and more every day.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's just like, and I guess I'm jaded from it right now. So it's like I'm probably going to come from the pessimistic side of things.
Right.
But like, when it's so amazing what some people are doing in custom paint, especially like the Japanese and that stuff.
We just met that King's Custom guy. And he was here in St. Louis last weekend
for the Cycle Showcase.
Dude, he was so like, you know, Japanese guys.
Yeah,
they are so ridiculously talented.
Yes,
no matter what they build or paint or whatever, and they look up to us and Americans like in the highest regard.
If I could just suck like you a little bit, but I'm so good.
I'm saying
that was Italian, I think.
It used to be like that when I built mini trucks. I would go to shows all over the country, and Japanese guys would fly here to go to these shows.
Yeah,
and they would see my truck, and they would just bow down. And I'm like, "Yo, y'all are way more talented than me. Don't kiss my ass right now." They're so humble and so ridiculously talented. So.
Well, you see what they do, and it's just so hard to, like I said, that drive kind of went away a long time ago when, I think it went away when I've really been doing a deep dive with this. So in 2011 to 2012 is when I decided to give up fine art and only focus on motorcycles. I still had a motorcycle. I still rode. But when I would get home from work, I would typically go in the garage and work on a canvas. Right. And then on Thursday, I'd go to bike night. And then every day at work was painting bikes. But then I kind of decided to get into a bike club at the time. And then my life became nonstop motorcycles. And so the painting canvases and trying to push myself artistically became like, man, I ain't got time to do this. You know?
Well, you have money to make.
That, and I you know, like I spent my entire 20s being a guy in the shop, like, tucking myself away to go work and practice airbrushing and graphics and things like that, while my relationships failed because they're being more social and whatnot. And I'm just the guy in a shop. They also didn't really have anything super nice to show for it. I just had skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you turn 30 and you're like, well, I got decent skills. I kind of want to go be social now. And that kind of switched for me. And so it's only been a couple of times when I've really done a deep dive to try to learn or get past a roadblock that I've had, like in certain aspects of paint that I needed to it was driving me crazy. But like I say all the time on the podcast, it's like I came to people better than me with the right questions to where they knew that I already tried. You know, it wasn't like, hey, man, how do you do gold leaf? It's like I came with the right question that they knew that I put in effort and they knew where I was stuck. And so it was easier to get through those curves, if you will. And I mean, I wish that I could turn that switch on and just want to. I remember the first time me and Jeremy hung out, Lucky Strike. We were in Daytona is when Jetty and I rode down there. And every time we got still for a minute, Jeremy pulled out an iPad and started sketching. And I'm like, fucking nerd. Like, we're at fucking Daytona, dude. Let's fucking go. But I mean, I'm saying that as a friend who loves him to death, but it's like, I just don't care to do that. I go home and I fucking get the lighting right and I put on some Deftones or something cool and I sit down and I start sketching, and that's kind of my place. I don't really like to do that as like a filler for time or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just weird. I love art, but also I don't know. I kind of like working on bikes. I want to learn how to weld and fabricate. I love it. I love so many other things. It's hard to just be like, I'm a fucking painter for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and see, I'm along with that. I would love to do fine art. Like I've done some metal art kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, grind it up, do some candies on it, you know, hanging on the wall. Not a whole lot of it, but I'm like, man, maybe I need to, you know, flip a little switch and enjoy life a little bit more here and make something for myself.
yeah.
I never do anything for myself, so I'm trying to switch that.
Yeah.
My walls in my house are completely bare. The one thing I have hanging up is a picture I bought at Hobby Lobby.
Come on, dude.
I know. I'm making everybody else's shit cool.
He's too busy otherwise.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to say no. And
Yeah.
you're aware of that. That's how
Yeah.
most painters are.
No, I get it. No, I get it. Like that, it's that feast or famine kind of mentality, right? It's like, and that's kind of why I'm at that point where I am making myself get rid of the shop, because if I always have a paint booth, I'll always say yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a quick fucking flames. That's all you want
Right.
on a black base.
But do you think that you guys do it out of fear that like someday the jobs will stop coming to you?
I don't think so.
Or pricing yourself out or whatever.
I feel like I
used
priced
to be.
myself out.
I
Yeah.
used to be so scared of pricing myself out of the market because I had this guy sitting next to me on my payroll and I had another guy on my payroll.
Yeah.
The business decisions are on my shoulders to make sure both of those guys eat at night.
Yeah.
And supply for their families, you know, and then I had to eat at the end of the day too,
Yeah.
you know.
Or buy an 81 Camaro.
Yeah,
I still don't think I
80 Camaro.
it's an 80, by the way.
It's not a 91 like Steve Chamberlain's, okay?
But
That's a real Camaro, sir.
I went down that path too. My brother worked for me. You know, it was like every week. It's like the most important bill of the week was his paycheck.
Right.
And then it's like, well, fuck, I'm trying to make some extra. And what I found, and I don't blame him. I think that I'm probably one of the hardest people to work for, is because I'm so dedicated and obsessive of things that I do that I have a hard time trusting someone that I don't see those qualities in towards what we're doing. And, you know, it's like I never trusted to let him be like, hey, man, go take that bike. You sand all the bikes. You buff all the bikes. Well, here's how you paint it black and clear it. And then just whatever you fuck up, fix it in the buffing. Or if you have to re-clear it, do that. But I never would let him do it. So I'm thinking like, well, if he fucks that tank up 3 times, then we're going to have to strip it.
Right.
And then, you know, all the material that's gone, now the extra time and
It's
body work,
costing
and
you
I'm still
money.
having to pay it. So I can do it right the first time.
Right.
So I
get in
would
that rut, too.
never let anybody do anything that could actually help. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm the one to blame. You
Yeah,
know?
it's not just your fault though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good help is hard to find. And I've been dealing with that too, with having somebody helping out around here build motorcycles. And yeah, you know, we're just stubborn old men and we like things a certain way. And
yeah.
this just is what it is. I just think it's human nature. You know, when it's your
What's your
livelihood.
name on
Yeah.
it?
When is your name on it? I
Yeah.
think that's the common
Yeah,
denominator.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think that's why Sprengel and I work so good together for 13 years is that trust level of like, hey, I know you're good. Like, I don't have to second guess you for the most part. Again, I don't mean to speak for him, but we've always had that connection together.
Yeah.
Where,
And we both had the same drive. Yeah, it was my name on the building, but we had the same drive.
Yeah.
If he wasn't staying a little bit late for me, thrashing on something cool for SEMA, he was going home and building something cool. You know?
yeah, I mean, I just had it, you know,
Yeah.
not everybody has it.
Do you
And-
feel like you've kind of done that where you spent so much of your life in a shop that now there's a little bit of a social aspect to the life working around it, you know?
yeah, like
Since we've been knowing each other, I feel like you've been in a lot of places.
Oh, dude, I'm at the point in my career with everything I've done from the paint shop to building cars to building motorcycles. The one thing that keeps me going every time is always remember, like taking a step back.
Yeah.
And always remembering why the fuck I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Why am I dealing with these customers and these emails and all this stress and the bills and the compressor that sounds funny and like all of the things? Why am I dealing with this? And usually all it takes is hopping on that motorcycle, packing it down for a week, hitting the road. Within the first hour, you're like, okay, yep, I know why. Like, this is the one thing that keeps me coming back to motorcycles in general.
I mean, you could argue that you could have that too with the same amount of time and effort put into a normal, civilian job.
Yeah, 9 to 5.
Well, there's always something about working
Yeah.
for yourself, of course.
Yeah.
But like my thing about working for myself is I'm still not like fucking off 3 out of this
Yeah.
7 days out of the week. I'm still working 7 days a week,
Yeah.
right? But there's just a fulfillment to it. It's just like fulfilling your own legacy. Just
Yeah.
I have high expectations of everything in this world, and that's just who I am. There's levels to people.
No,
So-
I can see that for sure.
and you both know you would never want to go back to a 9 to 5 working for the man. I mean, it sounds nice sometimes. And Sprengel always said, I'll just go paint UPS trucks brown. And Jace said earlier, I'll go work for blah, 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 doing blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that sounds great. But give it 6 months, man. Like
Well, I've done a deep dive in that, and there's a caveat to that, because if I'm going to work for said shitty job that you're not valued and every bit of skill that you have is like null and void, of course I'm going to come back to
you
this.
still have to love what you're doing.
But if you work for someone that, like, if you work for a brand that you believe in, or you work for somebody that shows you the things that you need to be motivated are some form of like ability to evolve and do better and get more and grow and things like that.
right.
And, just the freedom to also make mistakes and fix them yourself. Like, I'm a problem solver. That's how I've always seen things. And, I've always thought, like, I mean, we used to joke, me and my buddy Brad hanging out. I'd be like, hey, man, I think I'm going to go over that AutoZone and apply for a job. I just want to see if I can get one. Like, I'm not going to go, but I just want to go try it.
That's funny.
It's
I agree with you completely. What I tell people a lot of the times is what makes, there's that moment of like, and I always tell this to Sprengel too, because he's always like not second guessing himself, but just not fully confident in himself. Or it seems that it comes off that way. And I always tell him, what makes you a professional? Like, how do you know at what age are you professional? Does it take X amount of years of one thing every day to make you a professional? What is it? Is it how old you are as a human?
I don't want to answer for you, but I can answer that for myself.
Sure.
That I feel like the word professional, the word artist, the word photographer, the word said anything, I feel like it's hard when you are inherently artistic to allow yourself to call yourself. It's kind of like a self-punishment kind of thing that you're like, someone can bestow that upon me, but when
You can't be self-proclaimed.
it's a weird
It's like giving yourself a nickname.
Yeah, it's like,
That's the
you got to
exact
call
same
me,
thing.
fucking skateboard now.
Doesn't work that way, right? I agree. You do not give yourself a nickname.
Yeah.
You also don't name your motorcycles. And if you do, you don't name them women names.
Yeah.
Like soft ass pussy shit. However, sorry, I feel like what makes somebody a professional, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. It's knowing how to address any situation.
Yeah.
You can turn a problem around no matter what it takes.
Yeah.
Whether you're using your hands or you're hiring the right hands to handle it.
Yeah.
That's what makes you a professional. It's your knowledge of wealth of just, you've been down this road. Okay, last time this happened, this is what I did. And you apply a little bit of that, a little bit of something new, and you always prevail.
Yeah.
That's what makes you professional.
I agree to that 100%.
So it's the same way with me in motorcycle building. I mean, I literally did it today. I was like, hey, Jace, I was cutting and buffing today. Are you proud of me?
Yeah.
Dude, it's been 6
I'm not going
months.
to call you a painter.
No, but it's been 6 months since I've touched anything
Yeah.
body related, and I killed that shit. It worked out perfect.
Yeah.
I never lost that skill
What were
set.
you cutting and buffing on?
So I cut the tabs off of a factory swing arm, which is powder coated black.
Okay.
And the tabs were on there for a chain guard, and those are for pussies. So I cut it off, and I needed to make it look as good as possible without pulling a swing arm, pulling the bearings, repowder coating it, blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
So I used some very strategic grinders and tools and got it stupid close and started touching it up and let it dry and cut it down, repainted it, cut it down again, let it dry, painted it again, let it dry, and then off I went to the races. And it turned out pretty freaking nice. But if I had no previous experience with that, I would have been like, "Yep, I'm screwed. Throw a sticker over this because it looks like shit." Right. So
black nail polish, you'd be all right.
well, I used a little bit of black nail polish in the process. The shit builds thick, you know. However,
it's like Bondo. It's like black paint Bondo.
yeah, there you go. So, but anyways, I just think that it's cool to get to this point in our lives of like, hey, we're all 40 and we've been doing this a long time, and we can share these same stories.
To kind of chime in on what I said, it's like it's bestowing it upon ourselves is one thing, like verbally saying it, which I know I've said it before, but like in my mind, I feel like I'm a professional at a lot of things I do, but I don't think I'm. Sometimes when you say professional, it's like, well, what's next after professional? Master? Like it's almost like,
yeah, right.
It's sometimes when you put a label, it's like, okay, that's the top of the food chain, rather than like, you know, I'm a novice, I'm intermediate, I'm, you know, whatever. But I guess it's regardless of the point of how you kind of, whatever you call your skill level. But I do agree that like I am proficient at providing the quality that I'm known for, or that is kind of expected in certain circles for certain price ranges that we charge.
Right.
And I have while I can, for the most part, fulfill the finish qualities that people are looking for and stuff, is my graphics and pinstriping and airbrushing to the master level? I don't know. That's the art side of it, where it's kind of subjective, right?
Yeah.
And
I look at it like, who is the best?
I mean, I think we all have our.
I point my fingers at everybody else.
Yeah, same. Like
everybody else.
As you should, but like, who's the best painter of all time, Sprengel?
No idea.
Well, I mean, like, name 3. You could do that quick.
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, do it. There'd be some like OG. It doesn't have to be Jace. I'm just saying, like, some OG.
Definitely not. Dude.
Some OG fucking painters, like people you looked up to. Oh man, I hope I'm as good as that guy someday.
If you're looking for high quality motorcycle lighting, then check out Custom Dynamics. It doesn't matter if your motorcycle has been around the block or it's fresh off the showroom floor. They offer a wide range of LED lighting options for various models, as well as custom applications. They have been in business for over 25 years and are committed to providing top-notch products at competitive prices. On my FXR chopper, I'm running one of their custom application LED taillight strips and their industry standard 5.75 LED headlight. And on my Lowrider ST, I have been running their Pro Beam Series LED turn signals, taillight, and headlight. You can check out their website at customdynamics.com to explore the available LED lighting options for your motorcycle. And don't forget to follow them on Instagram at Custom Dynamics.
Oh man,
You don't need to overthink it.
I am overthinking it.
Stop.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I'm sorry. While he's trying to answer, I'm like, who do I got?
Jace is setting himself up. But you just take those 3 people and be like, hey, fuck, I'm that guy right now.
Right.
That's
Well,
that's
and
really
I
what's
use
happening.
this because the guy that I was talking about that was always the local pinstriper,
Yeah.
his name was Jack Irwin.
Mhm.
The day that he called me and he's like, man, I hurt my foot. I've got this dude. He won't let anybody touch his trucks but me. I can't do it. You're the only guy that I would trust. Can you go do this?
Oh,
and
that's
I'm
good,
like,
yeah.
I just made it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm getting at
Yeah.
is
You know
that
what? That's
we've
a-
all had that moment.
What you just said kind of brought me to something that I've been feeling, and I'd love to get your take on it.
Okay.
Is also where I'm at in my career, I don't see anything incentivized enough to stick into it. Like, I've used this analogy before in the podcast many other ways. It's like, I remember the first time I got an opportunity to paint a Hayabusa, right? That was a step up from the F4i Hondas and CBR or, Gixxers and stuff I was doing. So in my head, I was like, man, if I could paint a Hayabusa one day, dude, I'm gonna make it. And then it was a magazine, and then it was this, and then it was that. Then it was a bagger, then it was a new bagger, then it was a big wheel, then it was said thing in my head. It's like, I need that fucking carrot in front of me.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But that's also following trends a little bit. Like, oh, this is the newest, hottest thing. I'm gonna master that.
yeah.
And then this is the next newest thing. Oh, I'm gonna get that. It's like the
And-
next level of the video game.
And that's what makes you professional.
There you go.
That's what
Maybe
I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the experience. It's all it is. You've been doing it so long. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can't handle at this point.
So I would say that right now, like on the new CVOs or that new body style, I kind of want to paint one
I'm the same
simply
way.
for my like wanting to experience it and see what I can do with those lines. But I only want to paint one.
So-
I don't want to paint more than one. I want to paint one and then go do my thing I'm doing. And then
right. Well, it's a personal challenge. You want to know
Yeah.
that you can hang and
Yeah.
you have what it takes to pull it off.
that's the
And
thing. It's like taking time off or however long I'm still going to paint little shit here and there, but taking time off is kind of like, I don't know let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you ever been scared to try anything else because maybe you feel like you're cheating on this craft?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'd be cheating on the craft. If anything, I would take it as more of a positive connotation of I can expand and I could try that. I could take it as a challenge. But whenever your bread and butter is
Yeah.
doing graphics on bikes, I mean, that's all I'm doing now.
Mm.
Doing graphics on bikes. I just had a text the other day. Hey, man, would you do another mini truck? Man, I've been there. I don't think I could go back, and I'm so freaking busy. I can't stop the bread and butter to take on
Yeah.
another challenge. That's why I don't have any artwork hanging in my house.
Yeah.
I want to do artwork so bad. Like you say, canvas, like that was your thing. I maybe have bought 4 canvases in my life that were blank canvases. One of them got paint splattered on it. It's hanging in my office still because I just thought it was cool, but that's all I had time for.
Yeah.
it is. It's literally just splatter.
You could just tape a banana on it.
Or that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I
But
mean,
no, I don't feel like I'd be cheating on the craft. I just feel like it'd be expanding.
so I feel like everything that I get into is this intensive, like research development kind of process to kind of learn the craft, whether it was, photography or welding now. It's like this thing that I'm like, I guess maybe because of the way I'm wired, where I like tunnel vision, devote myself to this thing.
Right. But I think that also goes into all 3 of our personalities. You want to be the best at it. I mean, if you were mediocre at a 9-to-5 job and you were packing boxes in a warehouse and they said, hey, we're going to try and have you drive some trucks around, you think you would really pour into it? You don't, that'd just be my take on it. But I don't think it's cheating on the craft. I think you're building a deeper portfolio, if anything.
Yeah.
Because what if you go down that welding rabbit hole and then you come back to paint and you're like, I mean, something could relate from the welding that would cross back over into paint and be like, I'm going to try this.
Everything that I feel like I'm into is about curating a tangible thing someone can hold that's custom made, whether it's an art piece or something like that. Like I want to make things that are like, I guess like over the last couple of years and being a painter is, and I've said this a lot on the podcast, that you get to this point where everybody calls you an artist, but they don't treat you like an artist.
Well, how is an artist supposed to be treated?
Yeah.
Well, not like what they're getting is another exhaust system for their bike.
Like has a price point. This is what I'm willing to spend.
It's like a material thing. Like
right.
I've
Something
curated,
that lives on forever.
Yeah, I've curated like one thing I'm stoked about and I'm so thankful for is that over the years, whether it's maybe talking about it on the podcast or maybe some kind of confidence, maybe you start to fucking bring in customers who want your shit. That's it. And they don't care about how long it takes.
Right.
Obviously if it was a bike, it would be a different conversation. But when it's a helmet or something like that, it's like, I want one thing that's from you.
Right.
And when you start working for these type of people, you start to like want to do better for them, not so much for myself, but for them because of how they made you feel like an artist.
Yeah.
When you do stuff for people where like everything is like every time their text message come in, you miss a phone call, you're just like your chest gets hot. Like
It takes everything to open it.
that person is not treating you like an artist. They're treating you like something that they're getting from you is no different than the exhaust on the shelf, a tire on a fucking rack, a oil change. It's just another thing on a bike to give them what they truly want, which is attention amongst whatever crowd.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're buying art, yes, there's probably some level of pretentiousness to buying art to hang in your house to show your buddies, right? Whatever you collect. Hey, check out my trains in the garage.
Right.
But for the most part, when I started buying things like
that I truly want to have in the house, not because I have people over, but because I want to see like your skateboards.
Right. You want to see it every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That inspires you to be here. That's something that you're buying as like art, not as like a commodity so much as, you know what I mean?
No, I do the same thing. I have all the skateboards. I have all kinds of really, really cool stuff to hang up still.
Yeah.
That I've collected forever and ever. So I get that aspect of things. And I agree with you. It's the same way with building bikes, right? There's some people that like, they hired you because they know they want your shit.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah.
Because me and him saw that in the last few years that we were building and painting bikes. Obviously, Kyle's the builder. I'm the painter.
Yeah.
But together, we did the graphics on it, and we did this and we did that. But the customer would come in and be like, do what you guys think.
Yeah.
Maybe I got a little numb to that, where you're like striving for that. I got a little numb to it because people did appreciate our craft and was like, man, I'm kind of thinking this like brown tan color and maybe a white two-tone.
Yeah.
And then we throw, they leave, they walk out the door, and we're throwing ideas around, and they're sticking on the wall, and it comes out, tan and white two-tone with gold leaf filigree, splitting the two on a big wheel bagger. You know exactly what bike I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and that's kind of like the professional thing that I was bringing up. It's just like, being able to feel confident that no matter what this thing ends up looking like, whether you're building a bike, painting a helmet, painting a car, whatever.
Yeah.
You're knocked out of the park. And a lot of that is, I think it's confidence based too, because we're our own worst enemies at the end of the day too.
Absolutely.
Because we're always striving for perfection and the next best thing. And how do we always want to outdo ourselves every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like I said, it's just shit that I think about. I'm an overthinker, and I've been really trying to lay that on the table in a lot of episodes lately. And it's just because, like I said, 20 years of some of the most amazing customers that made me feel like the coolest fucking dude in the world, and some of the biggest piece of shits I've ever met in my life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you compile all these different experiences up, and sometimes I speak like I haven't had a bad customer in like maybe 5 or 6 years, right? But the ghost of those motherfuckers are still in the back of my head.
Right.
The way it felt. I had an anxiety attack once that I wanted this dude out of my fucking life so bad.
Right.
And it was as recent. The last one I ever had, it was in 2017, and I never like wanted to fight somebody so fucking bad in my life. Just some little rich twat kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my age, but he was like a rich kid. You know what I mean? Nothing about this was about him actually wanting something from our brand, our style, our thing.
Okay.
It was just like,
now I see where you're coming from.
yeah.
But I'm so numb to it because maybe I have that little split personality where I can turn it off and on. But the artwork comes in and it's our brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, whenever I'm fixing a motorcycle for the local Harley dealership, which I do a lot of because I found my little niche in that corner as well.
Heard you got the plug on the pearls. Or
I
did.
do. still got some in stock.
By the ounce, bro.
But
Got
no,
that ghetto D, huh?
right. But no, I guess I kind of turn the artist I don't know, persona off whenever I'm just doing that job, but it's still a challenge for me to match that factory color. If it's faded, match that fade. Make it look like that thing before anything happened.
Yeah, some of those old, like those mid 2000s paint jobs, like trying to repair those was kind of a fun challenge. Like, remember the old like ground metal ones? They get little rust spots in it. You got to try
I've done so many of those.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But
I take that on as a challenge.
Yeah.
Though. And I feel like that's our professionalism coming through. That's our drive. That's our name on the front door. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I got to make this look like nothing ever happened. Watch me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome that you still have that kind of drive. And like I said, I think that I'm like just filled up with so many different emotions about it. Some good, some bad, because I'm really trying to convince myself to go really pursue these other things that are calling to me more. And I might be making up excuses in my own head as to why to blame the rest of the world. Like, you know what I mean?
If you're talented, you're talented. It doesn't matter what you're talented in. And hustling, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to fail. You just try and have fun every day. And I kind of sound a little bit like a hypocrite when I say that, because I have my moments and I have my days. But
Yeah.
if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be doing this shit. I'd be doing something else, and it's way more rewarding than it is.
Yeah. High risk, high
Painful,
reward.
you
You know,
know?
you got
Right.
you got a lot of projects in. You have the ability to really make something of nothing, to be honest with you, especially with paint, you know. And I was explaining to my wife, because, you know, I was telling her she's on booth right now, so she's kind of becoming her own boss. And I was just like, it's probably a little too heavy at first, but I need to, you know, ease in the approach. But I just kind of explained to her, like, the highs are so high,
The highest.
you know,
Yeah.
like it's like the best drug in the world, and the lows are fucking deep, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have you questioning every decision for the last 20 years of your life.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I've seen both sides of it.
yeah,
Just like you said. I mean, God, I'll even go as far as to say that's part of what kept me going. Like, yeah, there's a financial side of it, but man, just seeing that dude or that chick look at their car, truck, motorcycle, helmet, whatever for the first time and being like, oh my God,
yeah,
I am blown away. Like,
Right.
that's partial payment. Like, that
Yeah.
makes me happy.
I had it with a customer yesterday with this bike sitting right here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, I was talking to you about it at dinner, and it's just kind of my normal formula. It's really clean, really crispy. Everything's perfect, but I didn't really have to reinvent the wheel for any of it.
yeah,
And he came to me because he knew what he wanted. He wanted a build that I was known for, and we provided. And I know I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Everything's dialed. It's perfect, right? But yet I'm still nervous as he's showing up to see his bike. And that's what it's all about. Like, I know he's going to fucking love it. But for the moment that he walks in and says, oh my God, it's so much better than I could have ever imagined in person.
that's
like,
cool.
We live for that shit.
Those are the highest
We all,
highs.
yeah,
Yeah.
we all
And-
live for that shit.
Whenever we were
So-
just talking about that, like the whole, are you appreciated for an artist? That bike is prime example. That dude, man, it's Kyle's customer, but he kind of came in and was like, yeah, I want this, and this. It's kind of cool, but man, I love what you're doing with these bikes. Like, that's what I want. So Kyle laid it
Yeah.
out. One thing led to another, and he got, I'm doing air quotes, he got the formula, you know? And it's like,
Yeah, I mean, it was our
but
job.
it's
our
twisted
job.
to his liking.
Yeah,
And his
Yeah,
color.
it was our job to sell it to him, you know, and then you just give him a couple like, hey, pick a color.
But then we got freedom to make it our brand, and he loves it.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
That's cool. It's a good feeling to know. Like, and that goes back to that professional thing. Just like, hey, feeling confident, knowing that you can handle any situation, no matter what the world throws at you. And it's fun. I finally feel like I'm at a point in my life after working for him as long as I did and doing my own thing for a few years now. Like, it's stressful. It's always going to be stressful, but it's actually fun. And there's always something next to look forward to and keeps me going. And then you throw, you know, visits like this in and the trips around the country, riding bikes, and this weekend going to Mama Tried. And it's a way of life, man. So we're very fortunate to have this stuff. I mean, not lucky. Like, we earn this shit.
You earn it, yeah.
But we're still very fortunate to live the lives that we want to live, you know?
Yeah, I mean, your brand, I mean, shit, you can take it back to the first episode you were on. We were sitting in Illinois. Illinois?
Illinois.
yeah, drop the S. That's a
Illinois.
Chicago
You
thing.
just call it whatever you want, bro.
The other side of the river. And, you know, just kind of like, I remember you just bought the Indian, I think. Right.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, you still had the Mustard King.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's just kind of it's been awesome to watch you grow and evolve. And even though like it wasn't like your first time building bikes, you know, because I know that y'all were building a bunch of bikes under your brand as well.
Yeah.
But just kind of seeing it, how you carved that little niche, if you will.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, you're kind of like that one of the first brands that kind of emerged in the performance bagger era as like a leader in it, as opposed to a lot of the, your FXR division, San Diego Customs. These guys were kind of, dabbling in this, and then just kind of evolved into it, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you're on this side of the country, or in this part of the country, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's just been on this side of the fence. It's been fun watching each one of these things come out with a new touch, a new flavor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, thank you. That means a lot, man. It's to me, it's just I want to be myself, right?
Yeah.
I want to be happy every day. I don't want to take shit from anybody. I want to do what the fuck I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to bend those rules a little bit to appease customers. But at the end of the day, those customers, they hire me for my vision. And it's very humbling for people that trust me. That trust means everything to me. So it's fun to like just blossom and do my thing and really like to the fullest that I want to do. Like, hey, I got this wild, really stupid idea and we're going to do it. And we're going to pull it off, whether people love it or hate it. And it's just like this gas tank, man. It was like, I know this is going to be controversial. And I know 50% of the people
I
are
feel
going
like I see your mini truck coming out on you.
Maybe you do. Is it the loud colors?
No, this the graphic style.
Okay.
But I like it because it's different.
Well, that's the thing. So
we're always evolving in that brand as well. So that goes with any good artist, any good builder, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm really good at timeless classics, like things that don't go out of style. Same with Sprengel. Like we have that eye for that kind of thing. But for the thing that I really truly am into is like mini trucks is a big one. Skateboarding is first. I tell everybody first, I'm a skateboarder before anything on this planet.
Yeah.
And as I become a little bit older, that comes out a little bit more because I have that financial freedom.
Yeah.
Not that I'm rich, but I have like a little bit more wiggle room to try and do some weird shit.
Yeah.
Some shit that appeals to me no matter what anybody else thinks about it. And if they love it, cool. If they hate it, that's fine. I didn't build it for you.
Yeah.
But like this bike in specific it's a way, it's a new platform for me. It's a Sport Chief. It's different. It's a smaller bike, and it was.
Why don't you talk about the bike?
Well, we will, but it's for me. It was a way to be like, hey guys, check it out. We've been here, but this is what we've done recently on this platform, and you may not like it, or you may love it, but one thing's for sure, you're gonna remember this bike.
Yeah,
it's always gonna stick out. There's always gonna be ways to refer to it, and people.
You bringing that to Mama Tried?
Daytona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could take it this weekend, but I didn't apply to go. I have that in that's like my next year goals. Like make it to Mama Tried would be a cool thing. We just did Cycle Showcase. I've been fortunate to be invited to that the last 4 years independently from my builds. And for the prior 4 years before that, it was always Sprengel. And the guy, Randy, who promotes it, fantastic human being. He always reaches out to us and says, hey, you guys have the sickest baggers. What can you bring for a bagger? And so we've brought big wheel stuff. We've brought performance stuff. We've brought hardtail choppers. And we've brought, this last time was my FTR that we just finished up in time for the showcase. So it's a local thing. And so in that sense, we got to support the local aspect.
Yeah, I wanted to go, man. It was just so close to the Mama Tried.
It's such a sick time. And it started really local at first, 8 years ago.
He reached out and asked me
Hasn't
about.
it been going for like 10 years?
I think we're on 8. I think it's 8, but
Mama
maybe
Tried's
it's
on
10. Yeah, I'm talking about Cycle Showcase.
I know. I'm talking about Cycle Showcase too.
I thought it was around 8, but it's just a really cool thing because it started small and local with Randy and his circle of people.
That's cool.
But Randy travels a ton, and his background of his profession and everything, he knows a ton of people too. And so he's reached out and handpicked every year. He leans on a lot of the similar people, but every year it's people from all around the country. This year we had a couple of guys from Japan.
Nice.
And it's really neat to see what his vision is for his event.
Yeah.
And he's so diversified in that show.
Yeah, I tell
we were always the bagger guys, back when big wheels were hot.
right, and that's what
we
was
were always
funny.
the bagger guys, but he also has vintage racers. He has vintage, classics. He has,
well, no matter if you like
1912 Indian with a acetylene headlight.
If you love motorcycles, you're gonna find at least one out of the 50 motorcycles in that event that you just fucking absolutely love. Like this is a mind blowing piece for you. It might just be 1 out of 50, but there's at least one. And so it's just the eclecticness of it is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that's what was funny about this year it was like, all right, he hit me up and I was like, yeah, I got this bagger, I got this soft tail. And he's like, no, I think I kind of got that covered. How about that FTR? And I was like, what? Like, yeah, like my FTR is cool, man, but like it's not like this showcase of exactly what we can do here. Like I just threw it together because it's my bike. I love that bike. I love to ride it, and I can't ride a stock motorcycle. It was not the shining jewel of this is Forever Rad. So we actually had to step it up just a couple more notches towards the end because it was going to be in that event. And I'm glad that we did. The bike is beautiful, and I can't wait to ride it this year. So, but this new one, the Sport Chief, is like, it's an oddball for me, and it's another Music City project. You know, they blessed me with letting me take this bike and doing my thing with it. And I'm trying to like really let this one represent
cool.
who I am as a human being. So
weird. The air cleaner's on the other side.
it's super strange. Yeah. And the chain drive is on the cool side, on the A side.
Sportster like.
Very Sportster like. This one is much faster than a Sportster. But regardless, well, it depends on what year Sportster. We're not talking water cooled Sportster. Okay.
I was
Anyways,
I always like
them,
to
but
use,
I'll claim them if I have to.
It's fine. It's a chick bike at the end of the day.
I
But
always like to use the word mission statement. Like, what's the mission statement on this bike? Like that bike over there. We're gonna go with the normal formula. This one, he was like, okay, we're getting weird. You gotta be with me on this one. I'm like, all right, this sounds fun. What do you got? And he's like,
Well,
skateboard.
Skateboarding, and I was really feeling the chopper side of things, and I feel like it came out a little bit in this bike. I've been really like you entertaining other things that not just painting, right? I don't want to do other things. I want to keep building bikes, but I have more things in my brain and more things that I like. And I used to do a lot of choppers. Let me rephrase. I didn't do a lot of choppers. I built a couple of choppers, and I believe they turn out really, really sick. And I miss staring at them. I didn't love riding them. That's why I fell in love with baggers. But now I'm getting to the point of like, I've been seeing more of these air quote performance-based choppers. Like you got this like D-rake looking chopper, but it's got these short T-bars on it. Okay. It's got shocks with reservoirs on the back. All right. 2-in-1s. Like that speaks to me more than like that raw swap meet.
Yeah, that's
vintage chopper, right? The chopper that you built, very much so, except not FXR, because those don't do a lot for me as far as FXRs goes. But like, I like more of like the Evo stuff, and still a hardtail is cool. But if you want to ride it, I want to see some shocks on it. And how do you make shocks look good on a chopper? Like that's probably a hard thing to pull off.
That's a cardinal sin for the style.
It should be. I'm now starting to feel like I want to try to maybe kind of pull some of that off a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I kind of dabbled in it just a touch with this bike, like with the raw materials and like a primary mounted license plate and, like deleting the horn and the coil, relocating it, making.
Streamlining it a little bit,
Well, just doing shit that none of these guys
Make it look a little more bare bones than off the showroom.
More bare bones, yeah. Like you can see through the neck, you can see through the backbone, you can see through like the seat post area. You don't see that on these motorcycles. So when people see that, it's just like this rare, or it's this weird sight they're not used to seeing, and it'll make them scratch their heads. And
well, sometimes that's the difference between a great aesthetic of a build and someone that they bought all the right shit, but something is just not in the right spot.
Oh yeah, I mean, just because you can buy it doesn't mean you're going to have a sick ass bike.
There's something to like the placement.
For sure.
Sometimes it's about contrast, sometimes it's not. It's like the rules are there to be broken, but then they're also still theirs. It's kind of like such a 60, 70% of that bike, of the parts, they were cut in half and welded back together. Yeah. I mean, it's just none of it was how I needed it to be. And so we went the extra length and made it happen. And I do the same thing on the bagger side too. Yeah. I've always noticed that. It's like you look for ways to bring something to the area. Like when you did the first Indian Challenger, it's like there were certain things kind of in circulation, but there's also been a lot of innovation off of like you doing that bike.
Yeah, and that introduced me to like the manufacturing side of things, and like trying to come up with the next best thing that I know other people will get enjoyment out of. We're about to drop, I don't know if you looked at on this bike, the radial rear caliper on it. First one in the world. Super proud of it. My machinist has been working on it for me for a year now. We finally pulled it off, and he'll be here on Thursday to hand deliver.
Big machinist guy.
I heard he doesn't put bevels in his parts. Steve.
He definitely puts his logo in it, though.
He definitely puts his logo in it. So this one doesn't have this. These are going to have my logos.
How much extra just to not get him to do that logo? We were doing the FX tour,
That's
FXR
funny.
tour shit. It was like, we're all kind of like friendly talking shit on the
Right.
on the Instagram group thing. It's like, no, even when Justin makes like a practice part, it still has his logo etched in.
Yeah. It just fits his persona. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
He's just that kind of a human being.
You're making it sound like I'm talking shit.
Not at all. No, man. You embrace who somebody is, like, to the fullest.
Yeah.
You know, like Steve over there, he might show up to Daytona with fucking braids in his hair. And guess what? That's just how this motherfucker rolls. Wouldn't be surprised if he does. I'm going to show up with a nice fresh haircut because that's how I roll. You know, like I'm not going to do some weird, wacky shit like that.
I can do whatever he thinks I'm going to do.
Well, he may have
Flip out, man.
he may have mentioned that earlier this week, but anyways, yeah, I don't want to, we don't have to go down the Indian conversation this time if you don't want to, but that's been the most exciting thing. It's like making things that don't exist because I want them,
So-
but then I love the happiness it brings
One of the questions
to
I
everybody else.
I did want to ask you this about but I'm going to pivot it after I ask it to you.
Okay.
What's a bike that you haven't really touched that you really feel like you can be innovative and grow on? And then maybe answer that question, but at the same time, in regards to like what you just said about the FXR, why not take something that you don't inherently have a vision for
And try it.
use that as a challenge the same way we were talking about paint with the challenges, you know what I mean?
Are you saying in the sense of like building an FXR?
Yeah.
So I do have interest in that, and I can do it. I know that I can. I'm not going to claim I'm going to be the best. I'm not going to try to be the king dingling. I know I can put together a sick ass FXR. The problem for me is at this ripe age of almost 39, I tend to think that if I'm going to invest my money into this project, it's going to be a passion, but it's always, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I can't really afford to have this bike that isn't going to allow me to, in my own mind, feel comfortable taking it cross country and doing everything I want to do on it. And I just feel like no matter how talented you are, the hand built, every inch TIG welded, everything built from scratch type motorcycle is always a problematic type motorcycle to an extent.
Yeah.
Some people are much better than others. And even the best guy in the world is still going to have problems because that's what happens from a fabrication standpoint. I have built a ton of shit from cars and trucks to bikes fabrication wise. Some of it has stood the test of time. Other of it has failed. Right. But at the end of my day, I'm so busy in business and dad and traveling and everything that I do. It's really hard for me to roll the dice on that 10-day trip of hoping I won't have a problem on this somewhat problematic motorcycle. And I have a hard time getting into that. I feel like it's like the daily driver conversation. Like, man, I'd love to have a brand new dually. Sure as fuck, don't really need it. Like maybe once a year I need it. Is that worth a $90,000, $100,000 note?
Yeah.
No. So then I'm just not going to do it.
Well, I would imagine that if you were going to take a swing at an FXR, it would probably lean more towards a modern approach and not so much
I would go
let's
towards
take
like the
an Evo
M8.
and put some new base gaskets on it. And
I would have to go towards the M8 side, but then I also get like I don't want to say that I like to one up, but I like to do things fresh and different.
Yeah.
And the M8 thing in the FXR, it did really intrigue me the first 2 times I seen it. And this was many years ago when the first ones were built. I won't mention any names. You know who they are, but it really made my ears perk up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at that point in life to spend the money or the time doing it. And I thought, well, maybe someday somebody will offer it as like an engine, an engine mount kit for an FXR. And maybe I don't have to redesign that wheel.
Yeah.
And I have been sidetracked on that kind of stuff because I've been focused on the Indian side of things, just because I've really truly fell for it, and in a good way. Like I really love these bikes and I love pushing that platform, and I find so much fulfillment in that.
Yeah.
It's hard to really focus on other bikes. I did get a little excited when like the new CVO ST dropped, I was like, man, I finally could ride one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's something new coming from Indian because that's how this industry works, right?
Mm-hmm.
They drop this, so then they drop this. They're just constantly one-upping each other.
Yeah.
I know there's a new bike coming for next year, and I am fully prepared financially, mentally. I'm ready to knock it out of the park the second I can get my hands on it. Just like you and I and so many others have spoke on that monoshock water-cooled Road Glide that's supposed to be coming, right? Which didn't come again this year, but like, boy, they sure knocked it out of the park this year for what they did do, right?
Yeah.
It's just hard to get excited about the same old shit. And Indian is not the same old shit to me right now. So Harley is, up until this new model launch, which was, I was excited about it. It was cool, but not enough for me to go drop $45,000, $50,000 on it.
Yeah.
It's just not yet.
I
you know?
agree.
So, and I think we're at this weird point as a whole of what's going on with EPA. We've been doing tuning here, remote tuning on Indians, and the things we run into with what we can and can't do legally. Selling parts, our website is doing really good, and certain people reaching out, hey man, I can't ship this pipe to California. Will you ship it to me? Or, hey, we can't get this in the UK. Will you ship this pipe to me? Seeing what's happening with legal things from the EPA standpoint and all that is just like, to me, I hate to say this because I don't love electric cars and shit, but like, I'm more like, just get it over with. Just get the electric motorcycles out and let's just figure it out. Like, we all hate it. We're all going to be stuck with it someday. Let's just get this train rolling and hold on to, internal combustion as long as we can, but embrace what's coming because you can't fight it,
Yeah.
To an extent, you can't fight it,
That's that evolution coming back.
Well, it's just who I am as a human being. Like, I know who I want to vote for this year, but if he loses or she loses, then whatever. Like, what am I going to do about it? I can't change shit about those results. I'm just going to keep doing what I think is cool. So,
yeah,
I know that's long-winded, but
no, that's on point. I see where you're going with it, like where your thought process is as to why, kind of keeping your head in the right spot. It's kind of like
it's very business oriented. Yeah. Think about the last 20 years of taking hundreds of dollars of bills out of your wallet and lighting them on fire.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it. Oh my God, have we done it? We would be millionaires at this point if we didn't do all that.
Yeah.
But as I get a little bit older, I'm like, you know what? I've literally never taken a vacation out of this country, ever.
Neither.
Maybe I'd like to go sit on a fucking beach in Jamaica just to see what the hype is all about.
It's good for a day.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll probably be going stir crazy 12 hours in. However, I feel like I've earned it. I feel like my old lady's earned it. Maybe we need to try that. Well, I can't do that type of shit if I'm constantly lighting my money on fire building these motorcycles just because that's what I feel like I need to do.
Well, could you say that, like, when I kind of came in here, we were talking about bike sales and kind of like how, if the bottom falls out of like what people have already spent on these bikes and they can't even get a fraction
of selling a built bike,
or whatever, then the incentivization of them to customize it is still there if it's a personal thing. Like if my FXR is built for me without ever wanting to sell it, right? Which when you have $40,000 wrapped up in a new bike and then you got another $40,000 in it, like you kind of want to feel like there's an opportunity, if shit hit the fan, that I can recoup some of the money on this, right?
Not necessarily break even, but get a decent chunk of your money back. It's the same thing I told you about, like our Frenchie puppies right now, man. The market is flooded. There's too much availability out there. And so in this air quote performance bagger thing, like there's just so many now.
So it's almost like it's a buyer's market, not a seller's market, right?
Pretty much. I feel like that's where we're at this point, because you have so many to choose from. Not all of them are going to be frame off, handmade amazingness type motorcycles.
But you can get a lot of good parts already on a bike for almost like what you would
for
pay
book value. In the sense of a guy that's cool with a black Harley, but this one does have Öhlins in the front and in the rear, and it's got a cam and a pipe. Why wouldn't you buy that and save yourself 10 G's, right? I think all that's going to happen with that is people are going to lean more heavily towards these new platforms that just came out, like this new body style, CVO, ST. Like they have more power than ever. They have a good front end. They have good rear shocks, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same thing I did with Indian. It's the reason I got on Challengers and quit riding Harleys. It is a better bike, hands down. Just is. Performance wise, handling wise, it's a better bike that I don't have to spend all this extra money on. And I loved that. Harley just answered big time. Like I really think they knocked it out of the park this time. So eventually people start buying more and more and more and more of those things, and maybe they'll see the value of their own dollar of like, yeah, you're always going to have that personalization. I don't want to have the same color as everyone, and I like these wheels.
Yeah.
But the necessity of, I got to have 10 G's worth of suspension.
Yeah.
Or I got to spend
That
$8,000 on my motor. Like
It also kind of comes back to what you said. If I want to get out of this bike, I'm so upside down in just a black Harley that looks super cool. Go buy the new ST. It's got the name. It's got the value in the NADA book. Maybe that's a little bit more of an like a comfort, like a little comfort blanket for the guy that wants to.
I think that's what's going to happen is that, like, I mean, yes, it's different when you finance. Let's say you're not buying a bike, you're financing it, right? I mean, unless you're putting $15,000, $20,000 down, that's a $700-800.
Sure.
You know,
It's a it's a
right?
big payment.
And I think a lot of people can afford that $300 to $500 payment for a bagger, and then they can kind of throw a little bit of money on it ever so often,
right,
to get parts. But this thing does check probably 70% of the boxes of what you would want to do to a bike. Like I was telling people that I would easily buy that bike, paint it, bars, exhaust, seat, done. Not even nothing else.
Right.
Like
right. Absolutely. I mean,
it's the wheels are good.
I use the term a lot of time, instant gratification. We're in an instant gratification world.
Yeah, but what does that mean though? Like
you go to the Harley dealer and you're riding that day.
Yeah,
to where
so
you're not tied up at the bike shop and my paint shop forever and all that shit just to make it your bike. It's instant gratification. Go get it. It's done. Ride it out.
Yeah.
It's just the evolution of everything. It's always bigger, better, faster, stronger. It doesn't matter if it's bikes, cell phones, TVs, cars, whatever. It's all the same shit. And right now we're at that point where it is definitely an exciting time to be alive, watching all this stuff unfold. And just like like Sprengel just said, you got to keep up with the times and find a way to stand out and stay relevant in it. And even if that involves just painting it, so be it.
It might be a dumb question, but I'm going to throw it out there, a dumb analogy / question. But say you have 1960s Cadillacs that you definitely want to dial in versus, you can get a CTS or whatever the hell the new one is, CSV.
Right.
But like, if they start making these things so nice, it kind of kills the whole desire for anybody to make them personalized. Yeah. Right. And that's obviously
Man, that's a rabbit hole we could go down.
I feel like that comes back to the age thing, right? In the last year, I bought an Audi RS7, 650 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds or less, right? Beautiful, rides amazing, stupid quiet. The doors latch themselves. Like this car's amazing. All I had to do is throw a tune at it. You literally plug in, throw this tune at it, $1,000 for a tune, and you make 750 horsepower and 700 foot-pounds of torque. This fucking car is a monster, and I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't mind like throwing some wheels on it, maybe lower it an inch.
Yeah,
I don't want to do shit to it other than that because the car is flawless.
Yeah,
it's perfect. You wouldn't dare do anything more to this car. You will ruin this car in the world of having the experience in aftermarket everything.
So that's what I'm saying. I wonder if these bikes, if they keep perfecting them and making them does it kill the concept or desire for somebody to do what we do?
It'll never fully kill it. It'll just turn it into the guy that
I think it chokes it down.
It'll choke it down for
if
sure.
You mirror that in the car world.
Yeah.
We used to be into cars heavy. We still like cars.
Compare it to the paint jobs versus the wraps, right? You kind of like
that too. But it's like you go buy a brand new Hellcat or you go buy a brand new Z06. Instant gratification. It's yours.
Yeah.
Turn the air conditioning on. Rip as fast as you want to rip. How come there's only new cars at car shows? Because the guys that are in their garage tinkering for 3 years to build that car, that time is money. Go buy a new one and just go rip and have fun, and you got
They're
warranty.
taking it to a show that nobody will appreciate what they put
Every
into.
Right.
single one of us in here right now has done that.
Yeah.
Steve did it with his truck and his motorcycles,
Screaming Seaman.
right? You did it with your 240s. Sprengel did it with his
That was the name, right? Screaming Seaman.
the Screaming Seaman. What was the name? The new name of the bike? Not.
Thought you said names were gay.
No. You can't name it a female name.
Oh, okay.
So I had one guy made a comment and he called it a bad burrito. No. And then I had another guy today, I said I painted over all the carbon fiber and he says incognito. So now it's called the incognito burrito.
Hey, that's a good one. I like it. Somebody on one of your posts said something close to Screaming Seaman.
Yeah, I was hoping that was like demon semen or something.
Yeah, and then someone was like, "No, don't bring it back." It was hilarious. But that's what I'm saying. He's done it from the ground up. You have. So have I. So has Spring. We've all done it.
Yeah.
Why are you riding a brand new Lowrider ST
I'm trying to sell it. You
with
wanna buy
close
one?
to a stock motor in it? Right?
Man, I'm trying not to talk about like where I'm at with this stuff because there's nothing new right now that's inspiring me. Like the CVO is nice. The ST CVO is nice. Do I want one? No. I want to get rid of this CVO. I want to get rid of this lowrider. And everything that I want in motorcycles right now is on that FXR.
I feel like I hear you.
Yeah.
I would never disagree with you. I feel like knowing you for 5 years now, these past 5 years, you've been on the best of the best motorcycles. You've always been on brand new motorcycles or close to it. Every year you have a new Road Glide. You're always doing something really, really nice. And so you've experienced what it's like to be at the top of the motorcycle game as far as the expensive bike, the valuable bike, the newest bike, right? So you're just numb to that shit.
That's
just
it.
like I am.
That's why I'm trying to I want to talk about these things, but I don't want to say it in a way that's like, those bikes are stupid. You shouldn't do that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying
it's just
exactly like you just said.
It's just that you're on to the next thing. You've been there, you've done that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to keep doing it because it's just the Power Ranger thing. What color am I going to paint it that makes it cool this time, right? It's the same shit, different day.
Yeah.
So I get why you say that. It's the reason that I'm having so much fun on this bike, building this bike. It's a challenge. I've never done it. Coming up with a paint job, like we were talking the other day. We're like, we really want to do this to all these parts. And I'm like, yo, that's way too risky. We've not messed with these lines. We do not dare go past that point. Let's get the bare minimum that we know we need to do. Let's get it done. Let's make Daytona and let's readdress after. Let's let it grow on us a little bit. And we'll know if we need to keep going full retard or if we can just call it a day because it's good enough. Like it looks good the way it is. It's the same way with all of this stuff.
No, that's fair. You know what I mean?
Right. And same with these Indian paint jobs, these Challengers. I mean, there's 4 of them in here, fully custom painted right now. There isn't much we haven't done to them at this point. We have the lines figured out. Most people have never even got the chance to try, yet we've done it too many times to count. That's why this new thing is so exciting for me. It's
New
different.
lines for painters, like fun, dude.
And not just paint, but from a builder standpoint and knowing every thread pitch and length and size of a bolt on a touring bike, like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
This one had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Man, is
I can
it
see the fun in
frustrating.
that, yeah.
It's frustrating. But guess what? There's this fulfillment. Now I know. Now I've done it. And that's just the type of people that we are. So
yeah. And I guess I'm, like I said, it's our audience is like 90%, performance baggers, performance Harleys. And so it's like, I don't want to alienate them from like where I'm at mentally on things, but also I'm wanting them to understand that like I'm kind of taking a step back to hopefully take a step forward at some point. Right.
Right.
And I don't know that my body is going to be able to handle, a cross-country road trip on something like this FXR with a sissy bar versus, in 5 more years. So I'm also looking at kind of like this might be a closing window of opportunity to ride these type of bikes before it might not be something I can ever experience. And that, to me, like that's kind of something I would regret is not taking a chance to like experience to travel, because I enjoy traveling and being on the bike almost, if not more, than I enjoy any other aspect of motorcycling.
Right.
You know, like me and Steve a while ago were just nerding out on some of our fucking shared experiences, you know, and it's like, to me, it's like, other than this FXR build, I haven't really felt that connected to a bike in a while.
Sure.
I've felt connected to it while on it, but not in the design execution phase of the project.
I think that goes into the new challenge, the uncharted territory, like inside you.
Yeah.
You take it on as a challenge, just like he takes this Sport Chief on as a challenge. Just like I might do a racy paint job this week. I might do a lowrider paint job next week.
Yeah.
I might do, I know I'm going to be doing factory match next week, so it's like, I'm all over the place too, but I think we just have to fulfill that. Like,
yeah, but if you're going to try to
challenge.
pursue this concept of like you talking about wanting to kind of make some art, like it's almost like you got to take the legs out from under you,
right.
And
I'm not good at that.
and kind of like, like change up things to where you can make some change. Is scary for some. I like to think that I'm the kind of person that like embraces it, but I embrace a certain amount of change. And I feel like there's just been so much in the last couple of months within the new Harleys coming out, like the trends and how it's kind of leaning, and where my head is at on things. It's like so much change that I'm like fucking lost in some of it, to be completely honest with you.
Totally understandable. So I find it enjoyable to take a step back every once in a while and just soak it all up. Let everyone else do their shit. Just pay attention, and you'll learn real quick what to do, what not to do, and how to create your own path.
I think I'm also more connected to wanting to take pictures nowadays than anything. And I would I'm more stoked about, like, I'm asking you, like, hey, you taking mom a try? Because I'd love to shoot it.
Right.
It's almost like I want to like share that, do something to help these builds, or just, I don't know, just to have the satisfaction knowing I took some cool photos of things like that. So it's like, as everybody's building cool shit, this Challengers, CVOs, all that type of shit, like, I just kind of want to take pictures of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
of other people's builds, of other people's paint, of other people's products. I have nothing to do with this. It's kind of like when we shot your Indian for Torque a long time ago. And I'm finally getting reposted by Indian, and it's not Harley. You know what I mean?
You were so happy too.
I was not.
Yeah, you loved it.
I left them on red.
Oh my God. I pre-warned him too. I was like, hey, just so you know, man, like, Indian might show you some love. And he's like, well, I don't remember what he said, but it was funny when it finally happened. He was like a proud father. Kind of. I still use those photos often. So they turn out great.
I feel like those photos that we took a long time ago was kind of like, like the first time you go play golf and you actually do good because you don't really know what you're doing.
No, you killed that shit, except the one with me riding it up my driveway.
Yeah, because we were like fucking
asshole.
Hey,
I was so hungover. I looked so bad. I didn't have a hat on. My hair was all jacked up.
You knew I was taking pictures of you riding the bike. How is that my fault?
I did not sign any waivers along those lines.
Oh, well.
And it made it to a magazine, I think.
Yeah, we were shooting it for the magazine.
It's a good thing no one read that magazine.
I still have a couple of copies of that. I'll bring it out.
Hey, I still got some copies too. You talked about that earlier, the tangible item thing, and like the photos. It's cool to have that photo that can live forever, like a printed photo. And
is that a bathroom over there?
No, I wouldn't.
Do you
recommend
not have a
peeing
bathroom here, or is it still the outside?
That door is about to be a bathroom.
I'm gonna go pee outside real quick.
You can go pee outside.
I can talk.
There's plumbing coming into it now.
Got pee in a hole.
There's a hole you could pee in, but wrong hole, bro. That's what she said. We should get Steve in on this and kick Chase off for a little bit. Let's talk about Steve's new build.
Oh,
It's been called the peanut butter and jelly glide, sort of. I may have just came up with that.
Ryan said that the other day.
Oh, the peanut butter and jelly glide and the something burrito.
The incognito burrito.
The
which
incognito
is hilarious.
burrito.
It's all like fat like a burrito, and it's all performance-y, but you can't tell because it's just tan.
Hey, I gotta say, so Sprengel painted this bike, and I hated the color. I still kind of do hate the color, but
I gotta enlighten him on the color story at my shop.
Yes.
You guys came over.
I
and
just
Steve
wanted
was
to
like,
say I
"I'm
really appreciate the confidence out of you.
thinking-" Yeah.
You stuck to your plan, and it's so sick.
And Steve said, I'm thinking like this color, and I'm thinking like this color, like tan, but like yellow, but like loud. And I go, oh, cool. Like that Nilla envelope sitting on my desk. He's like, maybe. Kinda.
No, so like I wanted to like repaint the bike, and you know, I was just like, I kind of want to do a tan, but I didn't want it to be like, you know, Kyle's Challenger tan. Like that's off like a Jeep,
Ooh.
I think he said.
We call that terrorist tan.
Terrorist tan. So like that's kind of like, it was a little bit more of a tan on the grayscale, and I was thinking like a desert sand tan. And then I was out in Home Depot with my girlfriend talking about wanting to repaint the bike.
Oh, this is a good part. This is a good part.
Have you heard this story?
Listen to this shit, bro.
It's funny as hell.
Like I'm trying to explain the color, because like I'm looking at cars in the street, and like the new Toyota truck, like you're out in Utah, like the new Toyota truck is, you know, they have tans. There's a Hyundai I've seen out there that's tan, the Jeep that's tan. I'm like, they're not quite the vibe I'm going for. And then she finally goes, she's like, what color are you talking about? We're like right by the paint aisle in Home Depot. And I just walk up and I just grab one card, grab two cards, and I just like show her, I'm like this or this. And I put them in the front pocket of the flannel. And then I'm looking at them. I pull them back out later on. I look at it and I'm like, man, I really like this one. I look at the name of it.
Don't say the name yet. Don't say the name yet.
Okay. Well, I look
Because
at the name of it. And
I start going through the DuPont Spectrum Master book to try and find this elusive cell phone picture that he gives me.
yeah.
Every painter out there will get this one. Oh, it can't match a cell phone. We don't need to go down that one. But I'm like, man, how am I going to match this? So I'm going through Spectrum Master book, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick this color. I do a spray out, you know, nice big spray out. I come down, I show him. He's like, man, it's a little light. He's like, so I was at Home Depot, and I grabbed this card, and he slaps it down on the spray out that I had. And the name is, go ahead, Steve.
It was called Ginger Snap. So like when I picked it out, I didn't look at the name. Like this is afterwards, but I had this card laying here, and I didn't bring it to a shop the first time when we kind of talked about paint. Like I just kind of had it sitting here, and I'm like, this is a vibe I'm going for. So like they gave me
as the painter, I never saw it.
Yeah, they gave
I'm
me
going
like,
off a cell phone. The worst.
Wasted your time is what you said.
Yeah, beating my head against the wall at the paint
And
store.
material.
like
This motherfucker's got a Home Depot chip.
And
Yeah.
I like walked through his shop. I opened like all his books, and I'm looking, like I knew what color I wanted. And then, dude, all his paint chips. I'm pulling out drawers, doing it. I'm like, this color ain't in this paint shop. And then I'm like, he's in his shop. He's got a badass showroom with like, you know, some of the magazine covers and whatnot, and like all this art in his shop. His shop's super sick. And then I'm going through, and there was like this, I think it was a painted saw on the wall or something. I was like, yeah, it's like this color, like in between here and here, because it had like a gradient fade. I was like right about in the middle. Like
It's all just one shot. It's just straight one shot, hand lettered
Like,
on a
I'm
saw.
like,
Just
I don't
pinstripe
know.
enamel.
Yeah.
And then he came over here with like one spray out, and then I gave him the Home Depot card, and he went back to the shop and did it, and came with a second spray out real quick while he's bringing Challenger parts or, you know, Chief parts. And he's like, what with this? And I was like, all right, yeah, like that's, you know, getting close. He's like, all right, I think I'm gonna change it up, you know, like a little flesh tone to it, you know, just like a little red. We're gonna pull that out of it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then kind of talked about some graphics, and I was like, all right, you do you, don't talk to me till it's done. So
Yeah. So then as I'm cocktailing paint on the mixing bench, I'm like dropping the paint on both sides of the spray out and this, that, and the other. I'm like, I wonder how close this is to the Ginger Snap. Dropped it on the Ginger Snap card. Dead nuts match. So there is a gallon can of concocted paint on my shelf that says ginger with like a little bit of a space and then big snap. That's Steve's paint.
It's pretty cool. It turned out really sick, and he put a lot of work into it, and it shows. It's all the details are there, and the cool part is it's got 75,000 miles on it, and 79,000 miles, and it looks like it has like maybe like 8,000 miles on it because he copped out and didn't powder coat the frame.
Oh, here we go.
But
I
Six
repowder,
bolts.
repowder coated half
he
the
was
frame.
only 6 bolts away. #6 bolts away. However, he says he's going to powder coat it at 100K. So it'd be cool to get him on your podcast at 100K and like just get shit faced and celebrate it. Dude, just tell the stories, all of his stories.
With me this summer while you're doing your shit and I'm doing my shit, and you cross 100K and we're at a campsite somewhere. Fucking.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be sweet.
Oh, I'm trying. That's the goal this summer. We're at 79.5K. Like, I'm trying to hit 100K this year. So it'll be a 21,000 mile summer.
Hey, mind you bought it in 2018.
Yeah.
And you raced it for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So 79K for a fucking 3-year race bike. He still did some road tripping on it in race form, but that's a lot of miles.
I
And
remember we were talking shit back in the day, and we were like, "Oh, I did 25,000." You're like, "I did 25,000." I only had 4 months of riding.
yeah.
So,
Anyways, I'm sure everybody's stoked to see it in Daytona. So
yeah.
you killed
Yeah,
it.
it's definitely one that I just put a little bit more attention to detail. It's going to be one of those where it's not, blowing up Instagram or people like that. It's like, until you get up on it, you see all the little things I did. Like, that's where I really tried to shine with that build. So
The best part is our amazing painter is still sitting here next to us. We're both in paint jail still. He needs a fairing still. I need a dash still. He's over here fucking sitting in sweatpants with clean hands, and the clock's fucking ticking. So, but we'll be in Daytona with both of these new builds.
Always comes down to the painter.
Well, it's definitely paint jail. It's definitely your fault. You're the king of it.
Always is.
respect, Jason.
So, but yeah, we'll have both bikes in Daytona, and we're both super proud of them, and it's going to be really cool. We're excited. So
No, I liked it. I think it looks good. It's just different,
that's the whole thing. I think that Steve always has his own inspiration.
I'm past the pastels. How are you feeling?
It's very pastel still, but for Steve, that's a major stretch.
When I see that
in
color,
the
though,
pastel.
I think of like earth tones over pastel.
I would say it's a little bit of both. Like, you wouldn't see a street rod painted that color in a pastel. But that's out of the norm for Steve. He really pushed himself on that. So
Yeah, it was funny again, like in the shop when we're like picking colors and whatnot. And then they said, Kyle's like, it's something about, sand or desert sand. And I was like, and he like pulls this out. He's like, "This is desert sand." And I was like, "Wrong fucking desert."
the other day, Retta said,
Yeah.
the other day, Retta said that it looked like my iced coffee. And then I was like, okay, I like it a whole lot more now. Because it does. But
A lot of milk.
there's a lot of cream in that one. They've kind of fucking added too much half and half.
Color, like in the shop with these lights, like it's that, and then I finally rolled it out and like in the sun, and like just browned right up.
It's kind of Band-Aid inspired, and then if you know what Band-Aids taste like, it's kind of the way that I get the way I feel about it.
Burrito, incognito burrito.
The incognito burrito. No, it's unique
You gotta
and
get a Jeremy. You got to get a Jeremy to do a little fucking character on this one.
there's already a hidden Easter egg on that bike that nobody really knows about yet, right? Just you, me, and Sprengel.
I've shown it like a couple people.
Okay, Jace doesn't even know about it yet, so there is a little Easter egg on it. It's sick as hell, and we're not going to talk about it. There's your hint.
I get so annoyed when everybody's like, I'm painting a bike for somebody. Who's like, "Hey man, tell me you put a dick on it." And I'm like, "No, dude, I didn't fucking put a dick."
Oh,
Should we?
All the homies.
Should we go down that rabbit hole? The painted dicks.
oh
That'd
man.
be funny.
That's a two-way street. That goes both ways because I get the same shit.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh man, where are you hiding a dick on it? Where are you hiding a dick on it?"
Well,
I haven't done that in a long time.
Say if I'm painting a bike for him, right? And it's you that calls me, like a friend of his goes, "Hey man,
Every
please
time.
tell me you put a dick on his bike."
Right.
I'm like, "No, man, actually I didn't." Like,
Have they offered to pay you a really stupid amount of money to paint said dick?
no, nobody ever talks with me.
We did that in Monty Roach's pinstriping booth one time. And I think they were all drunk, but it was, I'll make it quick. This is very simple. We were in Sturgis, corner 4th and Main, and this group of Elvises rolls up. Okay, there's 3 Elvises. They're all dressed in Elvis costumes. And, "Oh, man, get your bike painted. Yeah. Sure as shit. Elvis number 1 pulls up. And then all 3 Elvises go over to One Eye Jack's to proceed to continue to get hammered. One Elvis comes back like 30 minutes later, and he's like, "Hey, man, here's $100. Paint a dick on that thing somewhere." Drops it on the toolbox, disappears. And we're like, "Oh, okay." Oh, yeah, definitely got a dick painted on that
Nice.
one. It was pretty sweet.
I remember when I was painting the first 2 Simpson helmets, the one for Brad, my buddy, and myself, the Samuel Jackson one. And we're sitting in the, I did the Samuel Jackson one already, and we kept trying to figure out like what to do to his to make it kind of special. We're both drinking, and so we ended up doing fucking drunk on the front of the mouth.
Yeah.
But then I did like a pinstripe design on that helmet, and at the top I just kind of put a little cock and balls. And the garage went from jokes and laughter to like I felt like he was gonna choke me out.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, I'm not cool with that. And I'm just like,
I watched Sprengel blatantly clear a wiener into a full paint
like
job.
the fingerprint style like designs, like the kind of like lowrider style that kind of definitely been a part of the panel games. I remember once I had this guy that I didn't like, but he worked for a bike shop in the Big Wheel days that was always, just annoying, just a fucking douche. You know what I mean? And so I did a fingerprint dick that was the size of the whole side of the fairing. So if you step back, and it's kind of like if you like start right here with your nose and you kind of go out slow, you'll see it. It was a full cock and balls on the side of a fucking road glide fairing and like that fingerprint kind of design. So I got it in me. I can get creative with this dick character, dick culture kind of stuff.
I put one on one of Kyle's
dicks.
cars one time, and he didn't know it was there for the longest time.
But see, I would let. I keep trying to get Jive Ass Honky Kyle to take up some type of medium with his dick drawing skills.
He's so good.
So good. I would let him fucking go hard on a helmet for me.
Oh.
Wrong subject. Man, keyword if we had
really
video
dropped
podcast.
the ball on that one.
If.
Wait.
Hey, we're having a Craigslist fucking marketplace meetup tomorrow morning at some coffee shop in South City, St. Louis. Good luck with that, bro.
Thanks, bud. It's probably not gonna work. But
Hope you brought your gun.
I'm so like, it kind of like took the wind out of my sails a while ago. I mean,
It's
I had
okay.
everything set up, or I was getting to the point of getting stuff set up, and I was like, hell yeah, we're gonna turn the lights out, and we're gonna have that. And then I got these little filters you put on the lenses to make that shit glow, and I'm like, God damn. Because I was like looking in my bag. I was like, wait, I have another board somewhere. I was like, oh, fuck.
We'll get him next time, Tiger.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's all good.
There'll be more. It's fine.
Just make sure I get it tomorrow for all the other really important guests.
Yeah. It's all good. I mean, nobody wants to see Indians anyways. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I am working on a Harley sponsorship right now. So,
Hey. Well.
by working on a Harley sponsorship, that means nothing's taking place.
You know what they say. Hey, wish in one hand, shit in the other. Right?
Yeah, no, it's it sucks, man. But I wanted to come out. I think originally when I called you, like I felt like I had more of a premise as to what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, let's do it.
I don't remember what any of it was.
Perfect. So now we're just winging it.
Well, I think it was kind of like on the premise of what we were kind of chiming in on, and just like the current state of like the feeling of this scene that we're a part of. And Steve and I were talking about it earlier, but like we're like, as someone that's been in this performance bagger game for like the last 7 years, how do you feel like it's changed, and where do you think it's changed for the bad and where for the good? Because I do feel like there's good in it. Like I don't feel like it's all inherently bad, and I don't even know how bad it is. It just feels different.
I don't really feel like I personally don't really feel like it's bad. I think it's good for all of us. I don't really look at myself as like the founding father of it. Like I was just there closer to the beginning.
So same as all of us, yeah.
Right. And I don't claim to be the first to do all of these things. I just know I was the first to stand out in the way that I made myself stand out. And it was just me being who I am, just true to myself and showing my talents, my vision. And it was received well by most people. And that's the whole point of it. It's really cool. It's a good feeling. Where we're at now is like all these new parts are just dropping every single day, and they're so readily available. And I definitely find myself less excited about it because of all that.
But I would have thought that more parts would have made more individuality, more options.
That's the thing, is there's so much availability, and there's so many companies that
You almost get to the flooded aspect.
Yeah, it's the saturated thing. So like in the Indian thing, I'm the biggest fish in a very small pond. right? And that's exciting for me because I can continue to do new things and everyone's watching. But if I was doing Harley parts right now or just Harley builds, it's really, really difficult to stand out in a crowd because there's so many other great builders and painters and talented individuals out there, and no one's ever going to be the best because
Do you think you'll ever come back to the major leagues?
You mean Harley Davidson motorcycles?
No, I'm just fucking with you. I just had to chime in on that one.
Truth be told, like I can't say yes to that. I'm not going to say yes or no.
Yeah.
It's going to need to be something exciting, but
I mean, like to the notion of like what things feel like, it's
well, I'm trying to not turn this into an Indian thing. Like I'm trying to stay like where it's centrally located is the Harley thing. To me, like I remember when Craig started the Performance Bagger Facebook group.
yeah. Good times.
You, me, Steve, all three of us sitting here, we were all admins. You dipped out real fast. Me and Steve are still part of it, rarely active, but we're there when we need to be there. And all of us, we were there for every comment, every post. You know, we were trying to help and show the way and guide these people just with the things that we knew and what we have experienced.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. And then it just exploded so much more. And then it turned into the same question 6 times a day. You cannot keep answering the same question all 6 times. Why are you not using the search function at the top of the page? And you finally are just like, I'm done answering these questions. I've done it too many times. And hopefully people know, they'll see what I said in the past, you know? And then that's kind of the best you can do, unless you just want to cram it down people's throats 24/7 every single day. And I don't like doing that. I just want to keep building cool bikes and showing people, hey, you can still keep doing fresh things. And it's really more about the rideability of the bike at the end of the day. We still like to keep all functionalities, you know, perfect form and function, like the balance between the two of them. And I hate to do things that are irreversible to an extent, just in case you want to switch it up down the road. And I find like that to me is more about like still always pushing the envelope, but still doing something that's a little bit more simple so you can use this bike to its fullest. Like never lose the idea of not using your motorcycle.
Yeah.
And that all just comes from the chopper thing, the big wheel thing. Like we would not be afraid to cut something in half. And this may not be awesome when it's finished as far as being able to ride it, or you're going to lose these lights and you're going to have this on the dash and careful when you open the speaker lids, right? Like we try to make the things, we try not to do that kind of shit anymore so that people can just have the best experience on their bike. And that's what I try to focus on. So why I still love this scene right now, air quote performance bagger scene, is because it's the first time since I got started in this, like 08 area when I started working for Sprengel. This is the first time that I've ever seen people using their motorcycles to their fullest rather than just going to bike night, just going to the next poker run, just going to the next rally. I have seen you, Steve, and countless other people inspire people to start getting out, riding their bikes, living their lives. Like look at Chris Zemlo. Yeah. We were talking about Chris earlier. Took his first solo trip to Alaska. Yeah. You know how freaking inspiring that is and how jealous I am of that, even though I don't want to go camping. Like that's insanity to me. Now he's learning Spanish so he can go to South America. And he took that first step or took that bite, and look at where it's leading him. That's the shit I want to do too. And if it's on a cool bike, cool. If it's on a stock bike, cool. I'm still interested in doing that stuff. But this is my business in motorcycles. It's hard to get away from that, where he doesn't work with bikes all day, every day. So to him,
it's a hobby.
He's not burnt out on it. That is his getaway. That is his hobby. And it's hard to stay inspired like that. So I just get a fulfillment of people having good quality stuff that they can buy and good quality shops they can hire and be able to have what they want to have and use their bike. And I love getting that kind of feedback from people. Hey man, I took your advice. I bought these parts from you or not from you, and you were right. It's awesome. It did exactly what I hoped it would do. Like I get a lot of fulfillment from that side of things.
Do you think people are still like, I think it seems like the notion of like ride it Don't trailer it, or obviously there's a time and a place for a trailer, but it seems like more people are in building the bike for the show, not the ride.
I see where you're coming from, like
Yeah.
with where things have been headed and where are we at currently. Yeah, I see more of that big wheel mentality, like we're just doing this just to show off and just to flex. The formula has been written for so many years by so many people that it's easy to copy now. It's been done so many times. Think about when you first started seeing gas tanks with knee pockets in them, right? Like, why are people doing this? Well, it sure as hell looks cool. Well, no, that's not why I did it. I did it because I put freaking mid controls on a bagger. Guess what? It wasn't comfortable for a short guy like me to put my legs out forward and have my shin hitting an air cleaner.
Yeah.
So I put mids on it, and then I was like, well, I need to suck my legs in. My body wants to suck in closer to the bike. And my style of riding required that too. It just felt more comfortable for a little dude like me to be riding a bike like that. That was my purpose. It wasn't just because it looks cool. It was a functional thing. But I bet 90% of people are like, well, yeah, just look how cool that looks.
I'm always looking at like, how much gas am I losing?
Well, that's the funny side of things is I still road tripped with a knee pocket tank and a big ass motor, and I was still doing 150 to a tank pretty much with ease. So, and that's respectable.
Road King though, right?
It was a Road King, yeah. I mean, it was light too. So, well, you're saying that's not a touring bike?
No, it's just lighter, less wind.
Oh.
I guess I wouldn't say it's less wind.
It wasn't necessarily. I mean, it had a fairing and a tall windshield, but
I remember when that bike came out though, that Daytona, that 19 Daytona, right?
When it had exposed carbon on it.
What was the orange?
Yeah,
It was orange and gray tank and all
and white.
carbon.
Had gloss white panels on the side of the tank. Yeah.
Was there 2 iterations of that bike?
Yeah, well, it was just the first one that we just described. It was white, gray, and orange. And then after that, I tore it down and did it the mustard version.
Yeah,
But
that's
then we
right.
painted the carbon.
Because I remember seeing like a test panel you were doing for the mustard carbon thing. Yeah.
Yeah. When we were painting it, Steve came through the shop. He was still living in Michigan. And he was on his way to a Fast Life camp out 2020. I missed it. I was in the middle of trying to finish that bike and
I remember that. Yeah.
couldn't make it happen. And the weather was really shitty, and it made
was a good
sense to
year.
stay home and get it finished. So
To hit on that performance, the whole performance bagger thing, I like that whenever people come into the shop or, just hanging out, whatever, they're like, oh, when do you think that fad's going to be over? First it was choppers, then it was big wheel baggers. When do you think this is going to be over? What's next? I feel like this one's going to stick around for a while because they're usable. And just like Kyle said, people are getting out and riding, like using the bike.
Well, think about it this way. You walk into Sprengel's shop right now, and there's actually a Pan America sitting there with a dead battery, of course.
That's fine.
Then there's a performance bagger Road Glide sitting there, and then there's a stock Road Glide. But sitting right next to those is 2 choppers, right? One is a early 2000s Big Bear chopper. The other one is a Iron Horse.
Yeah.
And there they sit, and you walk in, and you're like, holy shit, dude. Like, these things are like dialed in, beautiful paint, everything's touched, detailed, and there they sit.
Completely custom.
Just rotting away. Like, they're never going to start.
Yeah.
The gas tanks are varnished. The carburetors need rebuilt. The tires are dry rotted. Like, what are you going to do with these paperweights that would have brought 80 grand back in the day? Now you couldn't sell them for 5.
I was going to say, like, I got 4.
Fair. Yeah. To me, that is a fad. It's a non-usable that's a fad. With what we have right now, it's so not as custom that the functionality will always be there.
You know why I think that, like, air quotes, the vintage chopper has kind of always been the underlying tone of custom motorcycles? Vintage customizing, right? Because that was still the premise behind a lot of the TV chopper stuff was guys doing like, oh, we're going to do a knucklehead and this. And then it turned into, well, what's the newest motor and what's the biggest one S&S makes? And, and then an R&R motor and a fucking TP, whatever, all that crazy shit, right?
Right.
I think that, like, without the culture to go with the bike, then it's just a fad.
Right.
So when the culture is like so dated to like just that, like when you think about like big wheel baggers, the joke becomes like the jeans,
Right.
the affliction shirts, the reflective MMA shirts. Like Michelob Ultra, you know, what I mean? Like shit like that. And then, you know, and not to like,
But
not
those
to,
died out because people found out that they were a pain in the ass to ride. Like,
well, I think it's that, or I think that they felt like it was such a superficial version of people acting like trying to like dress away. Like it wasn't natural for people to be that way.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm stretching right now with like this thought. I'm not married to it. I'm just fucking throwing it on the table to see if it has any merit. But
Well, I think some of those people actually were that type of person, and there's that many people out there in this world, right? But the vintage chopper thing, like that's really where all this stuff started, anyways. So
yeah,
it's like the keep it.
I don't think they'll ever go away.
Yeah, it's like the keep it simple, stupid mentality. You know, like that's a phrase.
yeah,
The thing, like everything that was cool, it always becomes cool again 20 years down the road.
yeah.
But that where it first started with real choppers and vintage choppers, like that never goes out of style because that's the Godfather. It'll always
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
Godfather. So it's a respect. It's like paying homage to it kind of thing. And it's cool as shit. So you hop on it and try to ride to freaking California on it. Good luck. That's what I'm saying. Like the times now, setting the cruise, imagine setting your cruise under 80 mile an hour and trying to ride to California.
I think that-
we're not capable of that.
Yeah, what I've learned through the conversations I've had is that it's the same difference between you buying a custom car or
Right.
buying a car that's not custom and customizing one. It's the experience of taking something that you might not make it on, and hopefully if you built it right or you just know how to get it done. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not trying to defend it and say that it's like better. It's definitely better to buy a fucking new bagger, throw some good parts on it, and go enjoy
Right.
what little time you may or may not have to take
Right.
off. But at some point, it's going to get boring.
No doubt about it. It's
And
just,
then the next thing is like, okay, do I go spend more money on another bike and another trend, or do I make the experience different by doing something different on motorcycles?
we all do it for our own reasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do what I do because I love riding long distance, going to the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
destination type trips. That's my favorite thing to do. Other people, they like that thrill of not knowing if they're going to make it, knowing how to fix it in the middle of a parking lot in Amarillo, Texas, or whatever the fuck, wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own reason for
Yeah,
what they're
for sure.
doing. And the important part is that people are doing it. And guys like us that are in this business, we're doing it. We're getting paid to do it. We're all trying to have as much fun as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Trying not to do the drama thing, make friends, and have a good time. And
Yeah.
and so I don't want to become jaded to the performance bagger thing. I don't want to feel like
yeah, and I know that I sound that way because I keep talking about these subjects, but I find that it's a topic of conversation in a lot of like circles not on the podcast, like
Mhm.
bike nights, other shops I'm at. You know, it's not that people don't love it. I can't say it enough. Like they're the fucking best bikes out there.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Well, do you
know?
feel like you hear this more like in Texas, like locally kind of thing?
Nah, I've barely been in Texas, man. I've been all over
So
the
it's just
country.
kind of all over the place. I don't know. Maybe it's more of a demographic thing. I mean, I can
Yeah.
tell you in St. Louis, it's here, but like
yeah.
it ain't here. Like
Yeah.
we're still, this shop alone is solely responsible for anything and everything custom performance bagger from
Yeah.
day one. You literally have this shop and you have bare knuckle Paul pushing the envelope, and
Yeah.
that's it as far as people really trying to make a statement with this type of bike. And that's after this many years.
Yeah.
In fact, St. Louis is extremely rich in choppers. Look at the D-Rake choppers.
Oh yeah.
And that has never died. And I freaking love that about St. Louis. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like an outcast pulling up on any one of my bikes to anything local around here. People don't really give a shit about what I'm riding.
Mm.
Where if I took it to Daytona or Born Free Cali or Fast
Yeah.
Life Camp Out, wherever, it'll blow their minds. But locally, people don't really give a shit what I ride here because it's not really that big around here.
Mm.
So to me, maybe that's the side that I'm seeing is I don't think it's as dead or full of drama or whatever as what some people may be saying about
Yeah,
it.
and to be fair, I don't really know that it's full of drama. I think that there's just a lot of as more money comes into it, so does like the potential for more, I guess, drama, for lack of a better word. But it's like the trends that took place in the big wheel bagger thing, like the way it started, because I was kind of around at the beginning of that in 2008 and 9,
Mm-hmm.
and the way it seemed like everybody was like doing something that there was no kit. You know, it's like one dude figured it out, and then he kind of, you know, gave this other guy the sauce, and then that guy did his thing and maybe changed it and gave the next guy sauce, and you know, everybody was kind of stoked, and then it turned into you know, then it was pretty chill and pretty cool for a while, and then the big money came in, and the how big can we go?
Right.
And then you get shops that are not, I mean, you gotta understand, like right now, like, yeah, we got you and we got some of these guys that's been around here for a while, but every one of those big wheel bagger shops has rebranded as Performance now.
For sure.
That hated this shit.
Yeah.
And now they're talking all their customers into this, and then they're still behind the curve. And so and I'm just kind of, you know, assuming and making an ass of myself in that, but like, what I feel like happens is they get themselves in this world they don't know anything about, and they're only going to be able to just talk shit.
Yeah.
When their customers like, well, that one's way cooler, or this one, theirs works. It's like, well, that guy's a faggot, and blah, blah, blah.
There's a lot of those shops that I can't stand. The ones you just described. There's a ton of them I can't stand.
Yeah.
There's some of them that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And with that being said, between both styles, guess who I've never seen out in the middle of some random ass state on their motorcycle?
Yeah. Well, that when all the
none of
customer
them.
base, the whole customer base of the scene also does not go that way, because they don't need to anymore to get the maximum, what's the word you were saying earlier? Instant gratification on these motorcycles.
Yeah. Well, maybe
It changes the dynamic, and then all of a sudden now it's just a Daytona thing or an Arizona bike week, and it's like, you know, there is no, you know, instead of a Gump Award at the fucking down south camp out, it's like, you know, who didn't trailer?
Yeah. No, I get
know?
it. Like, I don't disagree with you. I just think I have a different perspective on it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely.
I don't feed into it as much as what it seems like as you are, or I don't let it.
Because my job in this is to have conversations that I am privy to hear,
Right.
and then regurgitate and put those back in other tables to see what other people thinks about it. If this was all like talking about how perfect the world is, this would be a boring ass podcast.
True. And I don't get to have this conversation every day, because Steve and I don't need to talk about, we're in the shop together every day. We don't need to talk about this every day. Like, we're just doing this because we love it, and we love the people that we're surrounded with, and we just keep doing that same thing.
Well, I mean, it's good to be in a spot where, you know, like there's no drama. And trust me, there's no drama in my life. It's just that, like I said, inherently, when you become the Dr. Phil of all these fucking brands and people and ideas, and you get these fucking DMs and this, and then you get a brand calling you that's kind of worried about this, and then you see, you know, it's just like you can't help but absorb all this stuff, and you feel like it's your job to bring up the shit on the job that you have, which is a podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Fair enough.
So it's like, you know, I don't want any drama, but also if things can be said and outlined as to what, because even though we've done 5 podcasts and how many countless podcasts me and Steve have done, people ain't going back and listening, man.
Yeah.
So they're not going back and listening to what we were stoked about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say this is, you know, when you're just kind of like, this is all great, it's like they assume that you're just talking about exactly what everything's going on. And that, what's going on is not exactly what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would never stop to think about it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what to say to any of those people, just because it's
I
I'm just
know.
doing my thing, and I think a
Exactly.
lot of other people are doing the same as what I'm doing.
And that's really the best place to be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've never felt like fed into the drama side.
Yeah.
I hate to keep saying drama, but I've never fed into any of like the negative stuff. Yeah, sometimes it gets to me every once in a while, and I might vocalize it to.
As long as you're not talking about when you're on Performance Bagger page, because you definitely did that back in the day.
I mean, I would like stand up.
Stand up.
I would stand up to people that didn't know what they were fucking talking about.
Exactly.
But now there are so many well-educated people in this
Yeah.
that, yeah, I can. It's kind of cool that I can go on that page now and say something, and you'll have 20 likes to your comment just because you commented, and people are like, "Oh shit, he commented? Absolutely, that's the gospel, right?"
That's good.
That's cool. I love that aspect, but I also don't want to be the dude that's on there every 20 minutes, giving my 2 cents, coming off as I'm the guy that fucking knows everything, right? Because I still make mistakes every day too.
Yeah.
And I have to learn from those mistakes. And you have to let everyone else learn those too. That's part of the fun and the up and the down and the money burnt and all that shit. So
it's like if it was so easy to just buy the right seat and the right bars, there wouldn't be so many for sale all the time. You know?
you could just
We spent a lot of money over the years trying to
figure it
what
out.
the fucking combo is. Figure out what works. Figure out what doesn't work. So when somebody just comes at you and they ask, and they're just like, "Oh, what's this? What's that?" And you're like, you want to tell them because you love how it is, but then it's also like
they need to know.
You want them to just figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like go through the struggles I did, trying to figure out what worked for me and what doesn't, and then you're gonna appreciate it that much more. Maybe you're gonna spend $500 and you go, well, I'm gonna take a hit on that because that sucked, and that's the type of shit that I went through, and now it's like you come around and have a fucking badass bike that you just took that thing on the racetrack and you took 3rd place. Oh, you want to come and just go ride that thing to Sturgis? Oh, you want to bring it back? You want to bring it back on the racetrack and then go hit it on another podium? Oh shit! Like what the fuck? Like figuring out that combo and doing that is what's been so great about this performance shit. And the baggers is just you get to have fun and
You're always going to have that instant gratification people that just want that formula. They don't want to have to learn from the mistakes.
But a lot of that formula is kind of personal preference, though,
A lot of it is, but I think at the same time, like, you kind of want a lot of these people to fail if they aren't able to come up with their own answers to what they're looking for. Like, if you can't confidently figure out what part fits your bike, maybe you shouldn't be doing this in the first place. And I think that's kind of what Steve is saying is like,
that feeling that you get when you do buy that seat and then you sit on, you're like, man, I don't know if this is it. You go on a couple rides and you're like trying to convince yourself that this seat's it. And eventually you're like, you know what? It's not. And so you sell it or you buy another one and then you put that one on and it's like, you're nervous. It's like, fuck. And then you ride and you're like, oh, this is fucking it.
That's what I want.
And that feeling like makes you love that bike more because you had some adversity to get there.
And I'm coming from a different perspective here because I come from the same thing you both just said. But out of the 4 of us sitting here, I'm the only one that can say it's now my job to sell these parts to these people and get them dialed in. And it's Harleys, but it's especially Indians. And so I can go back to 3 years ago, 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago when we did the first Barnstorm dash kit on an Indian Challenger. I was like the 2nd or 3rd dude in the world to have that.
Yeah.
And I figured out these formulas and I was like, I'm going to keep all this shit a secret. I ain't telling nobody, right?
Yeah.
But now it's my job because I have myself and some other businesses have helped push that side on just the Challenger thing. Mm-hmm. And so we're known as the shop to talk to. And it's now my job to help these people not waste their money. And they want to know they're talking to a guy that they can trust. Has the experience. And I find a lot of fulfillment and enjoyment out of helping these people. Also, I make money on the parts that I sell to them. Yeah. So I have to be, at times, I have to tone myself back a little bit. Like you get that message at 12:30 in the morning on a Sunday from a guy that it doesn't say, hey man, I'm a big fan of yours, or hey man, I love your work. No, it just says, hey, what size risers are those? Like, really? Like you couldn't be any more rude, right? Well, it's that message that I'll read and I'll be like, man, fuck you. I'm not responding to you. Yeah. But guess what? At the end of the day, or maybe the next day, I'm still going to respond to this dude. I'm still going to be nice to him. I'm going to answer his question because that's who I am as a human being. Not all of us are like that. So my opinion's a little bit different probably just because.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
Well, my business has changed everything for me. You know, I get
it, but put some fucking balls back into motorcycles. Make these dudes I don't know.
Yeah, I wish people would start punching each other. That's for sure.
It's not even that. Just you know, when I get 100% why you got to do that, and I don't disagree. I'd probably have a different opinion if I knew some of my livelihood was wrapped around like how I responded to that message. But there's a part of me that wants to keep motorcycles a little bit, not gatekeepy, but like definitely like, yo, man, like this is a culture built on respect. Not given respect, but respect until you take it away. Or I guess that is given at points, right? But just that, you know what I mean? Like if
Like just a little more hardcore.
no, just a little bit like skating, right? Skating is a perfect analogy that if you're cool, we're cool.
Right.
You come to the skate spot and you start acting a fool and getting in the way and being disrespectful and being, just completely unmindful for everything, you get checked.
You're burned at the stake. So didn't that just happen with other companies? Right?
Kinda, but
motorcycle people still have that in them a little bit. We just watched it happen. It was maybe a little bit of a different term.
yeah, that was also a benefit for some other brand.
But
to make that happen was still a beneficial thing for them to do it.
But
to gain
general
leverage.
public still went out of their way to make it a standpoint. Hey, we will not support this. We will not support you. We see you later, and moved right on. That was actually a pretty. I'm not going to go into the what it did in the business side for them, for me, et cetera, et cetera. But it was cool to see motorcycle people actually having a voice and actually doing something about it. You know what I mean? That's not something we normally see these days. Like you said, like I wish motorcycles were, well, I use the term hardcore, but
yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around it to see if I have I mean, it's not that I have a different of opinion about it, because I definitely agree, but that's kind of such an easy thing to rally behind.
I get that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a Me Too
course.
movement kind of thing. I don't know. I don't want to disagree with you. Like I see it a lot with borders. I see it with Americans and Canadians.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Canadian guys not giving a shit about what Americans think, and they'll do and say whatever they want because they think Americans aren't going to come across the border and do some shit about it.
It's not about fighting. It's just about look, man, because learn how to speak and talk. And if you can't learn that, then I don't have anything for you, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you're never going to stop them though. You just can't. And every other Tom, Dick, and Harry has a CNC machine in his garage.
So if
now.
everybody's going to go ahead and just be a fucking inconsiderate asshole, and we all just got to be like, well, that's just how people are now. I don't know, man. Like,
you have to get every single one of us behind it and actually do something about it. And you see certain companies complaining about how they get ripped off with their products and how nobody has respect and they just copy everyone's shit and it shouldn't be this way. And they'll get their 5 minutes of fame and people will hear it and then it's gone. And then 3 more sets of floorboards come out that all look identical to the next.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? You can be vocal. You can do it here on this podcast.
Yeah.
You can do it at every show, every event, every camp out, whatever. You're never going to win, ever.
True. I guess I'm not trying to say like we're gonna fucking start a revolution to teach people manners, but
I mean, I wish we could.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's just a matter of like.
Well, that's why I said it should be more hardcore, because I feel like that's how motorcycles started.
That's part of why I guess I'm so compelled to make things to help give people perspective, instead of like, I feel more compelled to do things like what I'm trying to do rather than like paint another gas tank for somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like trying to revolutionize like the history, the future of where we're at in motorcycle history right now. And that's cool. That's commendable.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've never been good at business decisions, good ones, but I love this culture and it's brought every fucking great thing in my life to me, you know? And so I'm not saying I'm trying to protect it. I'm not trying to say I'm trying to gatekeep it. I'm just trying to give people some options as to how to look at it.
Yeah, that's just your personality. You're allowed to say and think whatever you want. Yeah. And it's no different than like most people will look back and be like, man, OCC, Jesse James, they changed the history of motorcycles. Absolutely they did, because they had their moment on TV and then look what happened, right? Yeah. There's many of other talented guys that should have or could have had the same opportunity. They just never got it. But that's what happened. And here we are now, right?
Yeah.
There's no saying that I can't be that same guy someday. Same with you. Yeah. Same with Steve. We just don't know it because it's unfolding right in front of our eyes. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're fucking old, right? Mm-hmm. And people start viewing you as Arlen Ness or Dave Perowitz, the painter, whatever the case is. And I'm just assuming that we're going to be that way.
Yeah.
But you just never know what the future is going to hold for us. And it's just, I feel in our best interest to just be a good dude and be positive and support as many things and people as you can, and just try to have fun. And the rest of it just comes naturally, you know?
Put your best fucking workout there.
Yeah, just do the best you can.
If you're gonna come out with a part, make it the best you can. You know, if you're gonna do a fucking paint job, make it the best you can. If you're gonna work on a bike, make it the best you can. Because
But if you're going to ask somebody about something, don't try to be the best person. That's what we're saying.
No, it's just
I feel like
I'll answer anybody if they ask you something. You know,
Yeah,
type of
well,
thing, but it's
yeah,
just how
yeah.
you ask.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
what I'm
it's
saying.
we
Like,
talked
why?
about earlier with paint, when you walked up and you asked for advice,
Yeah.
and you know the person knew that you were stuck at a point, and then you came and you gave the advice, or you're asking the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
questions. Hell yeah, I'm going to help those people out. When you get the person that's just like, oh, I'm too lazy to look. What is that? And like those type of people, like I just kind of shy away from them. I'm like, you don't even want to try? Like you come at me like you want to try?
Well,
Like,
I think that's what we're talking about is that like we're in a position where we don't have anything to offer that dude. You know what I mean? He's in a position where
yeah, I have to check myself every
Yeah.
day. I do it, and it's really hard. I bite my tongue
Yeah.
a lot. But you know, when my well, I was gonna say wife, but it's weird because we're not married still. But when my old lady lost her job, dude,
yeah.
I don't have a choice but to fucking survive, right?
yeah.
And now she is here full time, and so now the two of us support
Yeah.
each other and put food in our kids' bellies, and we can't afford to fail. So I have to watch what the fuck I'm gonna say, even though I'm very opinionated.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in this room would agree. They all know me better than anybody in this planet, but I have to check myself sometimes too.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's
So-
fair. Like I said, it's definitely a perspective thing because, like I said, I know myself. Like I want people to listen to this podcast, but I also want, like I want to try to put like positivity, but education through conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm learning things, and when I go sit down with some OGs and this shit, like, they let me know what the business is, regardless of how many followers I have on Instagram or
Right,
how
yeah.
good of a painter I'm viewed as or whatever. It doesn't matter to those guys.
They
You know
just
what
tell
I'm
you
saying?
how it is and how it's always been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just find it sometimes it sucks that like all our heroes get to be whoever the fuck they want, but all of us got to be everybody for everybody.
Yeah.
We got to be the guys that kiss their ass and the guys that kiss the ass of the people below us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, well, not that I don't want praise or any of that shit. I just want the chance to, I guess, just try to carry the torch.
Yeah.
But the torch is kind of like the
Dim-
OGs are dangling in
It's
front
kind
of
of
us.
dimly. It's kind of
But not-
dimly lit right now.
Not really letting us take it.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like it's gonna skip over our whole fucking generation and go to,
then you got
know.
some people trying to blow it out.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
I feel like as a whole, I mean, I'm jaded because I'm just on the paint side. I'm not
Yeah.
in the parts hustle.
Yeah. He doesn't live the shit that we do every day. you
Yeah.
know?
I don't either. But like I said, I'm in these conversations with these brands all
Yeah.
the time.
But I feel like just as a whole, it's a more positive vibe than it's been. Like I said, I've been doing this 20 years. Back in the day, and it's the same way with painters.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
you got this. You just touched on it earlier. If I went to the old dude and was like, "Hey man, my brushes are drying out too much." Figure it out, kid. You know? But now it's like maybe it's I don't know, maybe it's a little more positive vibe. Maybe it's the ease of social media of, "Oh, hey, let me ask this dude real quick cuz he can answer it whenever he wants," kind of deal. And everybody's kind of helping everybody out a little bit more these days.
But it's also like if I looked at your Instagram page and you reached out to me and asked me how to do something, and I looked at your page and saw how much effort you put into being a custom painter, it's kind of like what we were just saying. I'm definitely going to be more compelled to answer that question
Right.
rather than your shit's full of like Honda Civic Type R wheels and shit like that and some Jordans.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
like you're culture vulture or actually investing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I just feel like it's just overall more of a positive vibe.
yeah.
these
Now
days.
to your point of paint, like when I was growing up and the same thing alongside you, it's like, man, you were kind of expected to be enemies with whoever did this in your
Right.
said town because we all looked at our work like our I
The
guess
craft.
more like our pool where we were pulling from
Okay.
as a local market rather than a nationwide market. Because
So it's more competitive.
yeah, so we're all
Right.
fighting for that same group at the Cycle
Right.
Source show or the
Uh-huh.
Easy Rider show,
Right.
as opposed to like when the internet came along, it kind of like made it to where we can go pull people from all over the country, sometimes the world. And that kind of took the whole like competitive nature away.
Almost a little more inspirational than competitive, I would say.
Because, and then obviously the internet also gave us a chance to, you know, I remember some of the first times I reached out to Jeremy or Taylor Schultz or some of the painters that I look up to, and some of the things I said, like, hey, man, I'm a big fan. I love that. Or it started with a couple likes here and there, and then we got in the DMs kind of thing, right? But it's like, it's all out of a place of like respect of each other, you know? And
you know what, though? That's like from the art standpoint, that's like, that's a respect thing. It's a talent. Not everybody has that talent. Very few people have that talent. When people reach out to me and say, hey, what size risers? That's just a goddamn fact, right? They just need a damn answer. It's not,
that's just a formula.
It's not this precious little gem that I'm holding.
Yeah, true.
Right? Yeah. And it's not a talent. It's just information. And yes, it gets annoying because do your own freaking research and figure it out. And you will figure it out. But when it comes to not knowing how to fucking spin some fucking gold leaf, right? That's a little bit different. And so I totally see where you're coming from. Maybe my advice would be, not that I need to give advice, but like my standoff from it would be the guy, like the culture vulture comment, that guy who reaches out, he wants to ask a question. Just remember that we didn't know everything at one point either. We still don't know everything. Sometimes that dude that you're willing to give the time of day, like he really, really appreciates you just taking a second to respond. And who knows that guy's not going to be some clout chasing scene drama guy 2 years from now. Maybe he'll be a really fucking cool dude.
Man,
and
maybe
we know,
could pay the rent.
Hey, but you never know.
They kind of weed themselves out sometimes.
A lot of the times they do. But I've had that feeling about certain people who down the road, you let them prove themselves to you that they're not just here to use you, and they've turned out to be amazing.
So let me tell you how that has gone down for me in the past of being ultra fucking available to answer all the questions.
Yeah.
As soon as you don't have a chance to answer somebody, you get hit with the fucking 4 question marks, and then you get hit with the WTF, bro.
Yeah.
Like that infuriates me to the point where I don't fucking want to do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because now my whole fucking afternoon is thinking about this fucking asshole on Instagram.
Yeah. It's easy. It's easy.
So now it's like, to me, it's like you got some assholes who ruin it for the other guys that could be exactly what you're talking about. And then I'm the asshole because I don't want to allow this to give me these feelings that take my creativity away and my drive to work and get my job done. You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm gatekeeping or wanting to not help people. It's just that try fucking harder. Come to the show. Come to the camp out.
I agree. And
you know what? I had a fucking comment on my YouTube by this little punk ass kid in Dallas, and I hope he listens to this podcast. That I remember when we first started doing Dyna shit in our town. This kid was doing wheelies. I was taking pictures of him, shouting him out, blah, blah, blah. He gets into custom painting, right? Lives on the other side of town, 60-something miles away. Never once reaches out to me to come to the shop, anything like that. Never heard from him, right? I do a podcast with Taylor Schultz a couple of years ago, and then a couple weeks, like maybe a month and a half ago, he goes on there and says this fucking horrible shit about me, saying I help nobody out in Dallas, no other painters, blah, blah, blah. I'm all about myself, right? That's the kind of shit that people say because I'm not sitting here trying to do custom paint classes to help people.
It's just because you're well known. You have a lot of followers. You've been around a long time. You're well known in this industry. The more attention on you, the more drama you're going to have, the more hate you're going to get. It's just like more money, more problems.
But no money. So it's like,
fair enough. But
that's the kind of thing though. It's like, why, at what point do I got to focus on my own mental health and how these things affect me versus how I'm supposed to be everything for everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've dealt with that before. People will call me out for no reason. People I've never spoken to. And I'm like, yo,
we talked about it earlier.
What did I do to you? Like I had one guy that said, I'll bet this fake ass motherfucker that can't even land a kickflip. And I'm like, bet, let's go, bro. Like that was offensive to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, what is clapping back going to do? I don't need to prove shit to this motherfucker.
I didn't respond to him.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not going to, but I guess I just did.
I think that's that thing of I'm absolutely, an optimist. Always. You are right in between the two.
Yeah,
You
you said it
are.
earlier.
You always have been.
Yeah.
And Sprengel, he's an optimist. Steve, he's an optimist. And
Yeah.
it's just, it comes out in knowing how you are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just who you are. You'll probably never change, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I want to change. I think I'm a glass half full, half empty kind of guy.
Nobody's asking you to change
Yeah,
either.
it's like it's just like I said, it's a matter of all the things, and it's a choice. I chose to be a podcast guy. I chose to get involved in all these different circles. I chose to share these stories and share these opinions, but it's still one of those things that, like, you know, it comes with a cost. It's like you a little bit, it just eats at you, you know?
yeah.
And I mean, dude, this is the fourth. I did a podcast Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, day off yesterday, here today. I got one tomorrow. Like this, it's like sometimes people don't like, because the podcast's only coming out once or twice a week, right?
Yeah.
They don't realize that, like, for the next 8 days and the past 5 days, it's almost been a podcast every day. And
I understand.
how do you make it interesting to people to listen to?
Right.
What kind of questions do you go on? What's in the air? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially when you have on people that you've already had on before, in a sense. And we, you know, like, he's new. We tried to kind of go down some of that path, and it's like you got, and then also it's like you're big. Both of you guys are big, like, in this performance bagger world, especially alongside this podcast growth.
Yeah.
Has been alongside y'all's growth. You know what I mean? As, you know, not because of or anything. It's like we all grow together, rising tide. And the thing is like, you come on here and it's like, all right, I'm in California and I'm talking to people and they're kind of like feeling this way about performance baggers. And then there's some people that are from out of town that are passing through Dallas and feeling this way about it. And then you see this crazy shit going on the internet, not just the headlight thing, but then the fucking, you know, mercenary moto and this other dude in Florida thing. And it's like, man. And then people are reaching out going like, man, performance baggers are done. Because all they're seeing is drama everywhere.
See, that's where I'm like, I use that optimistic thing.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep doing my best. I'm even take what you feel about Daytona as far as like the first show of the year and that it's just for a party. Like, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I'm still going to be there. People can still meet me. They can still see my work. They can get to know me, ask questions, and I'm just going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a booth. Steve's doing the same thing. It's just about staying relevant and just showing people like, hey, we're not a part of the fad. We've been here a long time. We're not saying we started this. We didn't write it. We didn't create it. We've just been here for a long time, and we're doing the best that we can. And if you push the positivity, you tend to have less negativity in your life on the daily. And we don't get to have these negativity conversations or anything too negative because we don't podcast like you every other day of the week.
Yeah, and
you know?
that's kind of like illuminating a little bit of a perspective in my head right now. It's like, realistically, the goal this year is all about positivity. But it's like the more that you try to set the tone, like this year, it's all about this. And it's like, then it's like the universe's fucking like will to just will it out of you almost.
It's hard, man.
You
Every day it's a struggle. I deal with it every day. I just don't vocalize it on the internet because the internet is forever.
Yeah.
Steve, unfortunately, gets to hear it from me every day. Sprengel gets to hear it a couple times a week. But you get it out of your system, and I just don't do it on public air.
Yeah.
And then I focus on how to continue to be happy or make the next best move, make the next best decision. What's going to be the best thing for me, not for anybody else? What's going to make me happy? How am I going to feel like I accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish? And just, you know, you don't have to clutter all of it up so much. Wake up happy, try to go to bed happy. That's really all life is about. Just if you're not, change it. Do something different. You hate your job, get a different job. You hate your old lady, dump her, find a new one. You hate your whatever. You just try to be happy. And I don't know. I think life's too short.
Do road trips on your bagger, sell it.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, I'm probably trailering a fucking Sport Chief to Daytona this year because I don't have anywhere to haul my luggage, you know? I feel like
Ship
a bitch. I could ship it, but honestly, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks.
Yeah,
I just want to be there. I want to have a good time with certain people.
Yeah.
You know, anymore, I look forward to showing up to the hardcore show on Sunday just to see all those faces.
Yeah.
And have those great conversations. And then maybe have a couple of really good dinners with a couple of really key people. And that's all I give a fuck about.
Realistically, like the hardcore cycle show is the one that I'm like, I wish I could just like transport to that for that day.
Yeah.
And then just beam back out.
The Daytona hardcore show is such a vibe, man.
I've always felt like it was the like pinnacle of like the performance thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the one to go to, the one to like when it meant it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously they do stuff in Sturgis, but Sturgis just doesn't get the draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That Daytona does. So the competition is just not there, right? Daytona is just coming with heat every year.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I mean, you see these builds get sprinkled out throughout the rest of the year, but realistically, it's like,
it's all about having it ready for Daytona. But that's like we talked about earlier. You're coming off that winter build mentality that a lot of us do have. And, you know, you have everything that you've been pouring your heart and soul into, and this is the time to shine. And by the time Sturgis rolls around, oh man, I'm already hella sunburnt and I've been to enough shows. Like, what does it matter if I miss one of the 6 performance shows in Sturgis at this point? Like, all of the same bikes, every bike in Sturgis that's at the first show, they're going to be at the 6th show. You know what you're missing, you know?
Yeah.
And I would rather just skip it and just go to South Dakota in September and have a good time with my homies.
Yeah.
You know, like we need to start doing that kind of stuff. And some of the homies are, I seen it the other day, some of the homies from Iowa are going to the Smokies in May this year. Yeah. And I was like, are you going?
You're invited. You just never responded.
Oh, I was like, fuck, man, I want to go.
Yeah.
I was invited. I didn't know. So now I'm going to have to sign up for that because that sounds like a fun time. We have great riding around this area. Beautiful riding, twisty roads, great roads.
Dude, right from the fucking driveway.
Yeah, like really, we live on a great, beautiful road. And Steve and I have been talking about this for the last year. We really want to do this thing where we're not gonna announce dates and shit right now, but we want to get a smaller group of guys together. It's not gonna be there's no flyer, there's no awards, there's nothing. It's no shows. Let's just meet at Forever Rad on fucking Thursday night, Friday morning, whatever. Let's go ride Missouri and Arkansas, and we'll end in we keep saying Eureka Springs. We'll party in Eureka Springs on Saturday night, and if one of you can only show up for one day, that's fine. If one of you wants to come for 3 days, let's go. Let's turn it into this thing where we just go enjoy each other's company and have a great weekend together, and it doesn't have to involve a goddamn rally or a damn show. It doesn't matter about a trophy.
That's kind of what I've been saying. It's like
no, we are pushing for that.
Yeah.
Without the publicity of it. I don't want the publicity.
That's why we've been stripping all that away from the camp out to take it back to that concept of it's a hub to meet all these people that are into what you want to do.
Right.
It's right there. You know what I mean? It's like and it got this stigma of like the clout chasing event somehow.
Yeah.
Which I guess I get it, but it's just when you're there, I don't really feel it like it is.
Yeah. Well, and it's like this event. I'm not going to call it an event.
I like that, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that we've been talking about doing in Dallas with some of our guys from Bike Night. Is like, hey, look, like, call it a run, call it a fucking a tour, call it whatever the fuck you want, but. There's nothing better than riding and staying in a different place every night. And even if it's only for 2 or 3 days.
Agreed. Completely. It's so much fun.
Anybody with their homies, just go out and fucking do this. Just be like, hey, Thursday to Sunday, we're starting here and we don't know where the fuck we're going to end up tonight. We don't know where the fuck we're going to end up tomorrow. We're going to hopefully be here for the last day. And if you get a jet, don't say, what's your route? What's that? I'm going to meet you there. Go for the fucking ride. It's all about riding.
Yeah, just wing it and have fun. There was a time this past fall or whatever. Ding Dong over here, Sprengel. He hopped on his Pan America with a buddy of ours, has a road glide that I put together, and he's like, yeah, we were out riding down in Eminence and Defiance and blah blah blah, and I was like, bro, you're 60 miles from the best roads away from my house, and you didn't even fucking call me. What the fuck?
It was last minute.
I would have totally went with you, asshole. Because he never stops working.
Yeah,
I never stop working. Steve's always working. So it's like we really need to focus more on that, and that goes back to the inspirational side. When I keep saying his 79K and all the trips that you've been doing for the last 10 years, and you and the Texas boys doing your Texas boys trip, like that's fucking cool. That's really what this needs to stay about. The rest of the dudes that show up to any event or the people chasing for trends and et cetera, like, dude, you're never going to get away from that. It doesn't matter.
Well, that was like what we were talking about earlier. Like 2020 was like the fucking like super high with, performance, touring trips, all that shit. Me and you did fucking New York, Sturgis. I tried to do Laconia.
We almost rode every time zone together.
Yeah. And then just going out there and just fucking riding because we all had so much time. So I get it. Like nowadays, like everybody's busier. We're kind of back to a normal schedule, with all that. But it's like, if you can just go out and just do a weekend trip with your buddies, that's cool. If you can afford to do a week-long trip with your buddies, fucking do it. If you can do anything more than that, but just like bring it back to like the fucking riding, not just, oh, I'll meet you at that event, like, hey, I got there early and we're just going to party all day. Like, no, go smash some cool roads with your buddies, get a little drunk that night, get a hotel room, freaking do the same thing the next day. Like, that's the shit I love. I don't need an epic event to fucking make it so you love that shit.
Turn it into more than, hey man, you gonna be at blah blah blah? Yep. Cool. You get to blah 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 and it's like, hey man, how you been? Great. How about you? Great. All right, cool. Have a good day. Like, there's no way to build a relationship in that kind of shit. And you do that. That's a lot of what Daytona is and Sturgis is, and it's not coming from what the roots is really, really about. And that's why I keep saying ride your motorcycle. Well, so even the 2020 thing, like you just said, 2019 was like when we really all started hanging and riding together. You fucking Sprengel was there with us, man. Like, he's been there since the beginning too. It's just Sprengel, listen to his perspective every now and then. He doesn't get caught up in any of this stuff. He lives in his little shop. I mean, he's got a big shop, but he lives in his little hole. He works hard. He hangs out with his kid. He hangs out with me. He doesn't feed in any of this stuff. He doesn't do any social media for the most part. It's a very freaking simple way of living. And there's always a goddamn smile on this dude's face, even on the worst of times. So I'm the one who's like, hey, Jace is coming to town. We're doing a podcast. We both said it would be great to have you on, and you're coming whether you want to or not. Yeah. Here he is. I didn't give him a choice. Guess what else I said? Hey, I'm going to Mama Tried. I'm booking a hotel. I'm booking a room for you. You're not allowed to fucking say no. Guess who's going to Mama Tried this weekend? I'm literally forcing him to get out and live, to meet guys, not that he just met you, but really get out and live and enjoy these things that are so enjoyable.
Yeah, I get so, like I said earlier, I get so wrapped up in making everybody else happy. I haven't built or painted anything for myself in a long time. Like nothing to speak of.
Yeah, his Pan America's still all gloss black.
I bought a Pan America because I was like, oh man, talking about the challenges earlier and whatever. I wanted to buy a Pan America and paint it and make it cool and like, oh, I'm the weird kid, but that thing's kind of cool. Yeah, it's still bone stock. Still has bugs on it from last year sitting in my shop with a dead battery because I don't have it plugged in because it's off to the side because the customer stuff is in the middle.
He's got a cool street glide in the corner over there.
Yeah, I got a street glide over there too.
Except he didn't make a lot of time for that either because we started building that bike in like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And I've done almost all the work on that bike with the exception of him painting it because he's too freaking busy, And it's hard to get out and continue to live in the moment. He's guilty of that. He lives in the moment for his family and
yeah, I mean that might be your jam though. Like the being there for your family, kids, and like, the shop might be your getaway the same way the road is my getaway. Even though it might not feel.
Yeah, the shop's not my getaway.
It's his own prison.
Exactly.
Same.
Yeah.
The
shop is my prison because that's what makes my living, makes me, makes me my money.
Makes you who you are, by the way.
Right.
Right.
And I'm trying to make my own waves in that. I haven't been trying super hard lately because you always have that, you have that balance.
Yeah.
This summer, I told Kyle, I was like, dude, I'm gonna ride, but man, my son's 13 years old. We're going to play baseball.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a little gasketer car and we're just gonna go play baseball. I'm gonna live it up.
I think
that's my getaway.
What's cool about some of what you're talking about and Steve about like just they don't have to be these grandiose trips and these massive miles. It don't even really need to have social media posts attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Trust me, it feels cool when you accomplish something, when you're, going to this place, this city for the first time, or going to a state, crossing a state line, or one you've never crossed before. Like, all those accomplishments are things that I understand why you'd want to post them, why you want to put them somewhere. And I think that you should. I'd rather see someone like crossing a state line and being stoked about it than another fucking post with, click this right here to buy this. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we feed off other people's like enthusiasm for excitement and fun and what's moving their needle, if you will. And, and I'm saying this as a place of like, I know I've been guilty of like, oh, yep, another iron, but it's like, I'm proud of that. But it's like, okay, well, done 100 of them. So like, well, I feel like I should tell somebody,
Right.
But it's like, at the end of the day, like, I think that it was cool at first, and then it starts to come off pretentious. It starts to come off like us and them, or me and them. And it's like, it's really about like, man, fuck how many miles you did. Even if you just went out this weekend and did 200 miles or 100 miles, like, just get out on it, man, and push yourself a little further. Push yourself to do something a little more uncomfortable on it, And I think that you'll start to find a lot more about who you are and what you like and what you thought you liked and didn't like when you start putting a little adversity in your life. You know what I mean?
Some of the best days and weekends on motorcycles are the unplanned ones, where it's just like, you're like, all right, I need to get out. I've had a bad week. I need to go for a ride. Hey, you want to go 2 hours away? Yeah, cool. Let's go, just go make it happen, So I really hope with the performance baggers scene, like where I see it's going, everybody's so focused on shows and bikes and all that. I think I say this every time on every podcast, just, you got to go out and fucking ride, It's like, I was doing the racing thing, which I was enjoying that. And I finally decided I didn't want to do it because it was like stressing me out, trying to be the mechanic, trying to be the racer, trying to be the guy getting the bike to the track, all that stuff. And it's like, I missed like road trips on a motorcycle. Like, I really enjoyed that, and it was kind of just mentally taking me away from like being happy. Like, I really enjoyed the racing at the beginning, but then towards the end, like, it just became a job. I'm like, all right, how hard do I have to work to get the money to make it to the track to do this? And then plus I still want to do road trips. So how hard do I got to work to do all that? And then it's like, eventually you get so stressed out about it, you just like, all right, I'm going to take a step back so I can take a step forward, And then that's where I'm at right now. So not doing the racing, I'm taking a little step back, hopefully business-wise, like, I got ideas, me and Kyle working together all the time. Dude, we're bouncing shit off to each other all the time, and it's time to fucking nut up or, get out of the fucking game.
I knew as soon as you came here that his eye and his quality was going to flow through you. You know what I mean?
Well,
Dude.
Earlier, whenever he was talking about his bike, the burrito, Band-Aid, whatever, all kinds of names.
Incognito burrito.
Yeah, there you go. He was like, yeah, this one's just more detailed. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of contagious around here.
Hey, it shows. And, he didn't really, he asked my opinion sometimes, but he has his own opinions.
I think it's when you're a product of your environment.
Yeah,
You know
definitely.
what I mean? So like, as you see the level of detail that goes into the bikes that are around here, you can't help but like have something to compare it to.
Yeah, no, and
You know
I would
what I
never take like any of the credit from that. Steve works hard and he has his own attention to detail that he likes. A lot of the shit that he did, I would have never done, and I've told him that. It still looks fucking awesome. Like, it's just an opinion at that point. And to see him progress, that's fun. There's a fulfillment in myself out of that too. At the same time, there's shit that I can't do sometimes and he can kill it. And that's always really cool too. And then, that's where Sprengel falls into this. And, after working with him as long as I have, the two of us, we can accomplish anything. There's a lot I can do that he can't, and there's a shitload he can do that I can't, right? Steve doesn't know shit about paint. So it was fun because him and I are like, hey, you got to do this, that, listen to us. And even sometimes he still put his foot down and he's like, nope, this is what I want. Right? And it was like we're like, you're fucking dumb, and he's like, I don't care, it's what I want. Well, look at the final product. It shows. It's cool. He has an eye for the shit. You know, he just hasn't always taken the time to do that. And so it's cool to see it come together. People, it's gonna blow some minds for sure. It's a really cool bike.
Yeah, that's like one thing with like working with Kyle. Like actually today is like the 2-year anniversary of like me being, you know, up here in his shop, is just how much like we build off each other and trust each other with shit. Other than that, like sometimes, you know, good thing that Kyle says, he goes, well, the problem is, and then I'm just like thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, dude, I'm already up over that. Like what you think is an issue is a 2-second fix. You know, so then in that, and it's like he slowly just gets into it. He's like, when I say, all right, I got it, he just goes, okay. And then I just go up, whip something up and make it happen, come back and I go, yeah, this is it. And he goes, okay, all right. You know, and then.
Well, and I'm very picky, very picky. Yeah. And so most of the time I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm still going to change it. With what Steve does, I don't have to second guess that. Right. And so.
But I don't get that luxury. I'm like, yeah, you're picky. He's like, yeah, you are. I'm going to make you redo that shit.
No, hold on. I know what it's like because I worked side by side with Sprengel for 13 years. And so I knew what he hoped to get out of an employee. And I did everything I could to be that. Not only trustworthy, but talented and keeping his best interest in mind too. And so when you learn to let go a little bit and you have the right guy that you can trust, I mean, that's key, of course. It's so much more fun when you can do it that way.
That's how you grow.
Absolutely. I love that. And, you know, we have another guy who's here helping out a shitload, and he's just a great human being. And he's not in this industry. Like, he's in the industry, but he doesn't do any of the scene stuff that we do. He's got his own life, and he just loves being around here, and he kills it. And he's the same way. Like, I love watching him transform into, he picks up on the things that I'm into, but also pick up on the things that he's into. And it's this perfect balance between a couple of us around here, and it's super fucking cool. So
when you surround yourself, like when you're surrounded by people that you respect their like creativity and their own uniqueness to them, you know what I mean? Not that like, not saying that I don't respect people around me, but just like when you get surrounded by other creative people in their own rights, it just breeds more creativity, more emphasis to want to go out there and do some more cool shit. When, you know, when me and Sax are hanging out together, we're like nerding out on camera. It's like, dude, shots like this, like it becomes infectious to have those conversations and to bounce those ideas.
That's a team vibe that's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna dig back a little bit. Whenever we did the first Tan Challenger, it was my shop, Kyle's bike, Austin Poland came in. And some of my buddies were like, man, you're letting another painter come in your shop and like do shit? I'm like, dude, it's the most fun. Like pushing each other, bouncing ideas. Like, holy crap, man.
It's that one-up mentality. And especially when you do it with your buddies, where it's like, you know, he does something and, you know, you're both talented with it. And you're like,
you feed off
I'm going to do that. And like, I had 2 buddies back in the day, like going snowmobiling in the mountains. And these guys were just one-uppers on each other. And it's like one did a crazy thing, and another one came around and did something a little crazier. And it's just like, you know, you can have that with talents and, you know, nerding out and paint industry and, you know, anything.
Yeah, look at the collaboration that came out of that.
Yeah, when you know? Go, hey, you know, we're enemies. When you go, all right, you're good, I'm good, I'm going to try to be a little bit better than you. And then they go, watch this, bitch. You know, next thing you know, it's like crazy shit happens.
It's all positivity,
right.
Is what I'm saying. Like,
see, that's why I'm so jaded, I guess, because I'm just like, okay, you're either coming with me and we're doing cool shit, or I'll do my own cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not arguing that positivity is definitely the way to go. But I think that
I just think it's more readily available.
It is. It's also like I said, I think that I've literally let too much of other opinions over the last couple of weeks creep into my
that shit fucks you up.
mentality. You know what I mean?
It's easy to do, man.
And so, I mean, it's good to be around you guys because now I'm seeing that as like, oh shit, like I guess it's just me here.
No, man, but it's like
hang around a little longer, man. You'll come up with all of us.
I mean, if you want to go,
well, I'm inherently like I'm positive. Like that's exactly. I mean, yes, I want to ask the questions that are compelling, but I mean, fuck, dude. There's been so many great positive like conversations that's taking place on this podcast
Yeah.
with us. Like before, you're new. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a new guy.
It's our club right now. But
We'll get back to you on that.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was just thinking when Steve was going off, all I was like, man, this is the first time I did a podcast with Steve and we weren't drinking. Are we adults now?
Yeah, I mean, like Steve. So I don't drink a lot. When I do, I go all out.
Yeah.
But it ain't often. So
You're the one that got me on fucking like soda water, Sprite, and fucking whiskey in your old house. So
well,
thanks.
it's more fun to podcast when you're drunk, but we also do need to learn from our mistakes. I've made mistakes getting drunk on your podcast, so
Oh yeah.
I don't regret any of them, by the way. But anyways,
I wouldn't say you have. I think when we had that like in that little room over there,
yeah,
that conversation we were having was on the fucking premise of like a lot of drama.
yeah.
That needed to be talked about.
But like as we just keep saying, as we get older, we become more experienced and just don't really have a lot of time for any of the dumb shit. You know, you look back at how dumb that conversation was. How important is that today, right now? And where did it get us?
Well,
Absolutely
I think,
nowhere.
I mean, you could also argue that it got us where we were at because we addressed it.
Well, possibly.
You know,
Possibly.
instead of like,
I don't feel that way, but
Yeah,
if you do, that's totally fine.
I rode to his house and we sat down and talked about it.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to start talking about that because it actually didn't get that much better for me. We spoke in person, and that was that. You know, I apologized for what I felt I need to apologize about.
It's kind of like a agree to disagree kind of situation.
Not completely. Like after I thought about it for a while, I realized like, yeah, I probably maybe shouldn't have said some of the things I said, but
Yeah.
I couldn't go back and change it.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably learned some things from just that one instance in itself. Like that's probably why I'm like, yeah, you know, like I could say a lot of shit about a lot of different things, but there's just no reason to.
Yeah,
What's the point?
That makes sense. Yeah,
You know?
it's kind of like that was your kind of pivotal moment to start reeling back like these more extreme.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that one, but I think a lot of it has to do with the last couple of years of growing this business and becoming more professional and answering my phone with my name, like, hello, this is Kyle. You know, that's fucking weird to me.
Can you next time I call you? Can you say that?
I'll try. I'll try.
This is Kyle from Forever Rad. How may I help you?
How may I help you? No, I just
Kyle, it's Chase. Sorry, who?
How may I direct your call?
I don't know. I'm thinking about getting a business phone soon though, because this shit's getting out of hand.
Hey, when you get a business phone, you can charge different prices.
Ooh, okay.
Because when they're not calling your cell phone, they're like, okay, this dude's fucking taking it seriously.
Well, I kind of mentioned this, and it's shitty that we're probably close to the end of this, and I hate that this is at the end. But part of the business phone is like we're growing. We're you know, the website's getting bigger every day. I have a full-time website guy. I'm out here 7 days a week. Red is out here or in the house, in the office 7 days a week. We're always on call. This shit never stops, and we need to slow down a little bit and enjoy life a little bit. But things are continuing to grow. There's way more shit coming in the future. And one of those things that Sprengel didn't want to talk about is how him and I are going to be getting back together. We're getting the band back together.
Oh shit.
So we don't have to make it a huge thing, but like, you know, him and I, we're best friends, and we've been creating really cool shit for a long time, 13 years now. And it's kind of like one of those things, like we didn't drift apart per se. It's just that I moved 50 miles away and we're busy, you know? And you kind of realize like how good things always were. And but we love it over here, and he doesn't necessarily love it where he's at. And he's at a point in life where he wants to start making some moves. And well, I got a body shop next door.
Yeah.
And most people don't know that about Forever Rad, but that's the plan. Is we're gonna start doing some paint work here. And Sprengel's gonna be the man, like he always has been.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of gives us another side to keep things fresh. And I think it's relevant to this topic of where are we at with performance baggers, right? Well, guess what? If it dies tomorrow and electric bikes are the next cool thing, we'll paint those motherfuckers too. If all that shit dies and we go back to knuckleheads, guess what? Those are easier to paint.
Yeah.
If you wreck the bumper on your Kia and the bottom of the motorcycle industry fucking drops out, we'll fix your Kia bumper if we have to. It's called hustling.
Yeah.
And we're talented and we're not going to fail. And so, like I said, as long as long as we're happy with what we're doing,
Yeah.
that's all that we really care about
That's
around
important.
here.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can make some moves this year and probably ramp this shit up even more around here.
It's been a 100% a incremental growth every time I walk in here.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love to hear that too.
1 lift to 2 lifts to 3 lifts to
4.
all this stuff and and just the way it's all getting dialed in. And yeah, dude, like I said, I remember when it was kind of like you're unpacking in here almost. You know what I mean?
It was absolutely that way. We didn't have half of the lights in here, and it was like just a kind of a blank canvas. And it seems like there's a new piece of equipment or machine or a tool every single week, and another new bike coming in and another new bike going out, and it's a really cool thing.
That's rad.
Yeah,
It's kind of forever.
It's
rad.
fucking. It's rad for sure, dude.
Is that a plug? Is that a plug?
If you don't think so, then
Well, I'm glad we
You're
talked.
wrong,
I
so.
feel like I said, I feel like it's maybe that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I felt like how it's been getting portrayed to me, and maybe I needed another more positive, like conversation to come my way to regurgitate, because I am in a lot of ways rephrasing what I'm being told and what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say that it's like the circles that I'm in or that I've been in to get that are inherently bad. I just think that, like, I don't know, for what I do for a living, it's important to just hear it all, but then discern it more, like be able to sift through it and, look at it like with like, I guess, non-biased eyes. And I'm just so close to the performance bagger thing that I tend to have a biased eye toward.
yeah.
And, when you, like I said, when you start to see similarities from another, almost like deja vu in certain things, you can't help but feel like, oh shit, like that's coming. It's going to happen. But realistically, it probably won't. It'll look like it's something different. I don't think it's going to come in the same fucking package it was in the TV choppers or the big wheel baggers. It'll evolve and go in a direction entirely on its own. It just might run out of steam for some of us. You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, I can even confidently say I'm seeing some of that already.
Yeah.
You look at, even from a guy who builds the bikes, sells the parts, gives the advice, etc. Look at inverted front ends. I mean, you weren't shit if you didn't have an inverted front end for a couple of years there. There's a lot of guys who had inverted front ends and went back to conventional forks and figured out what worked best for them. Steve was one of them. And I'm not going to say he's the reason for it, but fuck, maybe he is the reason for it.
I think a lot of people bounced their questions or their decisions off what they saw him do, because
Definitely
to the extreme.
But but alongside with that is, as the time goes by, more products come out, better products come out, and then you realize, like, oh well, maybe we don't have to do all of that because we now have this. And that is an exciting thing, because it's all in the name of making things better and having an enjoyable product at the end of the day. And if it's great to, I make money selling parts and building bikes. Who am I to say you should go buy a Challenger and ride a stock Challenger because it's a better motorcycle? Like, that's not good in my best interest, but it's true. It's just that everybody still wants that individualism. You'll never not have somebody want.
Feels good to spend money.
And that too. Absolutely.
Not for me. I'm a tight ass.
Well, I mean, like, to have like wants and like things like that, it feels good. It gives you like a drive, and maybe you could say it's a little superficial, but I mean, fuck, if it'll get you to bust your ass and go to work and get to try to achieve the things you want, if they are materials or they are experiences, the end result is you actually probably got better at what you did by putting in more time and effort to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, at least you've earned it too.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I can't even say it. These baggers have been hands down, one of the best things that I got to ever experience. And whether, no matter how it looks, it's like I said, it's not like I'm not done with it. I talk like it's a farewell tour sometimes, and it's not the case. It's just different, and it's like, I want to do some other things, and I want to like have some new experiences, but I can't wait to, like Steve said, take a step back so that eventually I can come take a step forward. hopefully with some new skills and a new perspective that I can maybe bring to the table. And things like our camp out or our podcast or our bike nights, or if we ever do another hood ride or any other events we start creating, will have more flavor to it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I just, everyone's at their own place in life, and it's just be yourself, trust your gut, do what makes you happy, and it doesn't mean any less if you're not riding a bagger, right? Like you and I start road tripping on this FXR, you're still riding a motorcycle, and that's fucking cool. And it's super hardcore without bags, and it's going to teach you a shitload. I mean,
well, it's also like, put like this, like I walked in my closet earlier at the beginning of this year, or right at the end of the year, and I looked at how many shoes I have. And I do a lot of retail therapy whenever I'm like, oh, I'm depressed. I need some new Vans,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I looked at all the Levi's and pants, and it's like, not that it's like, it's not like your skateboards, but
Whoa, easy. Killer.
But it's like one of those things where I'm like, I can only wear one of these pants a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then it's like I got almost 3 pair of the same fucking shade of blue jean or whatever. And it's like, what if I did a trip where I only got to take 2 of these for 10 weeks?
Mm-hmm. You're about to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's better.
You're about to learn where the laundry mats are at, bro.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, well, if I can learn how to live off less of these type of things, then I think that it can help me like live a more proficient life at home of not so consuming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably very true. We talked about Chris riding to Alaska.
Yeah.
And he camped every single time, almost every night.
Yeah.
And a lot of that I think is just due to like, I can't do that. I don't have that in me. I've never done it. I could try. I'm probably going to fail, but Chris, he's a Marine, right?
Yeah.
I
wouldn't
many
have done
nights
it there. There's like moose and bears.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Chris has a background where he's capable of this kind of shit. And
it's like a little Tasmanian devil.
Yeah. And that's inspiring. That's inspiring. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I would like to get to that point. And every time Steve will back me up. Every time I put my tour pack on here and Retta and I are about to hop on the bike for a week, I'm bitching and screaming because we can't close the lid on the tour pack. And why are we bringing all this shit? We don't need all this shit. I long for the day to say what you just said. I think the simplistic way of it is a cool thing. And I would like to try and get to that point too.
Yeah.
But, man, it's just we're all like the skateboard thing is like, it
well,
brings me fulfillment.
I'm not talking shit.
No,
I love it. I wish my whole living room was like a wall of skateboards.
I know you're not. And it's just, to me, it's like, I'm an addict. So to me, this fulfills my needs of needing to collect, needing to fill my wall space, just like having a full body of tattoos. Like it kind of fits into that.
Yeah.
I'm an all or nothing kind of dude. But at the same time, you know how long this flannel, you know how long I've owned this? Longer than I've been with my old lady. And that's fucking 15 years bro.
Nice.
This year, bro. That's how old this is.
That's dope.
And yesterday I was cutting titanium bolts, like trying not to put holes in it because it's like a relic at this point. I don't have all the pairs of shoes because that's the side of me I don't need to focus on that.
Yeah.
I just do bikes and skateboards and that's it. So I see where you're coming from because I do have a simple life in that sense,
Yeah.
just a couple of little things that I just can't say no to, and motorcycles.
Like I
and
said, I think
skateboards is one of them. So.
I think I'm a product of consumerism to the point where it's like it doesn't garner better, right? Like a lot of the photographers that I'm immensely inspired by, like as I've gotten to meet them and do podcasts with them and stuff, you realize that like I walk in with all my shit and they're like, wow, I've always wanted to shoot with one of those. I'm like, what? And I'm like thinking to myself, like, they got the best shit. And it's like, no, they're using a camera that's 15 years old and it's something like they're focusing on like not the thing that they bought to do the job, but the fucking, it's kind of like the concept of I don't need the best bike out there to go live the best life on a motorcycle.
Right.
So it's like, how can I take
or the fastest bike to be the fastest rider?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good analogy. You know, it's like, so it's about, for me and where I'm at, like you said, it's definitely different for everybody. It's just, man, like I understand that if I pay more, I can get more, but can I can I focus more and get more? Or can I,
Sounds like you're ready for an Indian, sir.
no.
I got a couple for sale over there.
That reminded me of like one of my favorite movie quotes I ever had. The movie The Miracle. It's like a hockey movie, and they're doing these tryouts, and it's the guy's like, "You're missing all the best players," and then the coach guy, while they're doing the tryouts, he's like, "I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones." So it's just like one of those things where it's like some people think that having the best of the best, the best camera is going to make you the best photographer. When some people are like, I just have the perfect stuff to do what the fuck I want to do. So like that quote from that movie has always resonated with me, where it's like, all right, I don't always need the best of the best, but you need the shit to work right and work together and work to what your end goal is.
That's how we do it here too, man. I mean, I don't have all these fancy tools. I make it look like we do.
Yeah.
There's no shame in my game. Like, I'm not broke because I don't have $100,000 in debt in machines.
Yeah.
And
My paint guns are 8 years old and they lay just fine.
yeah.
That's the other reason I'm quitting painting. I'm not ready to buy new guns because I need some new ones.
True. Well, you don't have any for sale, do you?
No, I don't want them.
No, you don't want my old used up shit anyway.
But yeah, it's literally that. Like, I walk through my shop sometimes, I see all the airbrushes, all the things, and it's like, man, I spent a lot of money just to be in business over the years, and it's not that it hasn't garnered income and a decent life and whatnot, but I don't know, man. Like I said on that trip to Pacific Northwest, like, we're hanging out with some people that have been huge inspirations of mine, and I'm seeing how they live, and I'm like, yo, like, it's all the bullshit's cut away. It's like focusing on the things that are very important to them and their specific way of wanting to live. And I'm thinking, like, man, like, I need to figure out what it is, how I want to live and how I want to go through these things and what is important to me and not important to me. And, for the longest, it's been about trying to stay relevant, like you were saying earlier. Like, how do I stay in the running? How do I stay this? Or how do I, if I get off this, do I lose momentum for our brand in this social media world? I mean, do I need to learn how to do TikTok now? Like, all these things that I don't necessarily want to do, Well, how can I?
You can fall behind if you're not staying up with the times.
Yeah.
But even like me moving from like a bigger city to where I live now, which is small, kind of in the country, I don't ever leave. All I do is work and hang out with the family and shit. But it's a simpler way of life here as well. And I have to work hard for what I have because I now have a lot. And before I didn't have a lot. So I am victim to that. But there's a certain sense of like, just when I say staying relevant, I kind of mean mostly staying relevant to myself, to be honest. Like, it's more about like just always pushing. Yeah, just always pushing myself. And yeah, I care what people think to an extent, but like, if they don't like it, it's fine. Yeah. I like being praised for doing great shit. But again, I'm trying to fulfill myself at the end of the day. And if it's for my customer, I'm trying to fulfill my customer.
Yeah.
I don't really feed into the like, man, I didn't join Instagram till 2019 because I didn't want to do what everybody was doing. Like, I just wanted to be me and do my own thing and not fit in with society and not worry about what everyone else is doing. Never been on TikTok a day in my life still, and it's working for me anyways. I mean, I may not be the richest dude, but I'm pretty happy, dude. Yeah. So that would be some advice for you, at least. I mean, with what you have planned for your future, Yeah. So
yeah, that's a good thing about, like, I guess inherently I feel like it's 1,000% like for me. You know what I mean? Like, even though I am making something on this thing that I do want to put out there, it's like it might not happen.
Right.
Yeah,
you gotta take a chance, and through the end of it, you'll know who your real friends are and who your real friends are not, and life will probably be even better at that point.
Yeah, like I said, instead of trying to just more or less continue to fit in, it's like I want to find out where do I want to fit in, or where do I want to fit all that. I don't know, it sounds all gay as AIDS now, but it's like I don't know. I feel like we should have been drinking on this one.
I mean, you took it there.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm sorry that I fucked up and didn't bring an important piece of equipment to make this a video podcast, but it's been fun to catch up with all of you guys and how you're growing and going and seeing, you know, how you guys are kicking off 2024. You got some good builds coming out, you know. Steve is Steve, but cleaned up.
Steve's doing great. He's got a huge gnarly beard right now. He's not that cleaned up, but
No, I mean he's cleaned up, like his style is cleaned up. Like
oh, for sure, man. I mean, yeah.
usually it was like, I don't want to wash this at all this year. I want to see how much more.
We'll see how he maintains it. Okay.
I wash my shit a lot, but half the time when I seen most of the people, I just rode 1,000 miles across country to get it. No, I didn't want to go wipe some dirty rag, you know, on it and that, and scratch it up already more than already.
He says he washed it all the time, but there's this one point in time where that bike had deer hair on it for about 2 years. Stuck in there.
For a fucking point. Fuck that deer. Thing freaking broke my knee. And
Drink more milk. Yeah, dude, we're coming out. Steve's got his bike for this year. The FTR is new. I have 2 new Challengers that are personal bikes coming out. I have this customer's Challenger coming out. We got the Sport Chief coming out. Homie himself, we have a killer fucking Softail coming out for Homie. I'm super stoked on that. We have another Trass bike that we tore down to the frame and are completely redoing.
that's the one that's on the table right there.
Yep. We have another Road Glide that's a full frame off. So all my people that are sick of Indians, we got some sick ass Harleys coming this year too. Super stoked on all of the Harley builds that we have coming. So new parts coming. Huge news for this guy. I don't, you know, think whatever you want to think, but I'm producing my own skateboards this summer. It's happening. I'm gonna sell. Like we're gonna make skateboard. We're gonna hire a place to make a skateboard. It's a good American-made company with our new graphic that's gonna go on it, and that's gonna be focused, on the Sport Chief build. And we're gonna start fucking selling skateboards. And I hope people actually use them. If not, hang them on your wall like my shop. But that's like a goal that I'm trying to smash this year. Is like sealing the deal. I'm like, hey, this is actually like, we're not fucking faking shit, dude. This is, you know,
us.
every other Friday, Steve's like, it's Friday, go do a kickflip. I'm like, fuck, my knees hurt. Okay, here we go. And then 10 seconds later, I'm laying on my back, you know? But yeah, tons of new exciting shit this year and a bunch of events and plenty of riding, and we're not stopping anytime soon. Hopefully paint pretty soon and get Sprengel over here and
Stay to our roots.
yeah, just keep doing the damn thing and don't focus on anything that's not fun, you know, just have a good time. That's what it's all about.
I'm trying to flip a 180 in my life too. Just focus on the things that make me happy. Don't need the things that stress me out. And let's go.
I think it's just because we're all getting older and we're running out of time. There's no time for bullshit anymore.
As the oldest guy sits here talking about bullshit.
Well,
Nah, it's not that. I get it, man. It's just like I said, you know, it's gay, but
it's gay. Well, hey, what's not gay is Mama Trad this weekend.
yeah, excited
Gonna
about
be
that.
Good time. Your bike's going to be in it. Pump free on that.
Can't wait for everybody to talk shit.
That's cool. I mean,
No, it actually it has been it's really cool. You know, I like the idea. We were talking about it a little bit at dinner. It's like having a bike in something like this, you know, even though I did have help getting it in, it's definitely like something cool to be a part of, because I like the idea of displaying something that, you know, it's not going to be the most dialed and customized bike in the world, but I guarantee you that, like, if anybody wants to talk, that story, where the motor came from, where some of the wheels, like some of the parts and what I'm planning to do with this bike almost kind of overshadows the bike because of what it is for me. If you give a fuck about, you know, like the fast life shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a cool show because it's really not like, it's not a competition. It's an exhibit. It's an art show for motorcycles, you know, and that's what I really love about it. And it's got me to where it's like I I'm not really in that world, but I want to get my skills up and my vision and style, and hopefully get asked, like you said, to build a bike for a Born Free or a bike that we built to be asked, like, oh man, that was killer. We have to have it at this show. Like that's, like I said, I need that carrot in front of me, and that's kind of the one right now. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's well worth it. And that's one to definitely be proud of for, you know, I had that opportunity with Sturgis last year with Indian Motorcycle and their booth in Sturgis. And it was one of the most nerve-wracking times of my life, but we did it. We never gave up. In fact, it was, you know, all three of us worked on one of the bikes that we had to finish. And we rode a bike all the way up there. You know, we got sidetracked, had a great time on our road trip. We were almost a day late because we were having such a good time and just got lost, you know, just got lost in the road and had a great time. But like, to me, that was a prestige thing. And there's so much more of that to come. It's just stay focused and don't let any of the negative shit bother you, and try and have fun, and good things come to people with that mentality. So
For sure.
you got to keep on the same path and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing. So
I think I'm just cranky too.
you're getting old and you're a little tired.
Yeah, I'm on 3 hours of sleep.
Well, hurry up and get my helmet painted. All right.
Dude, he's confused me with you. Don't you have like 2 helmets taken apart of his for the last,
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a white one right there. It's got his name on it. So I bought it gloss white because I know how painters like helmets. Don't buy a matte finish.
when you decide to get a real helmet, let me know. I know this company, it starts with an S.
Okay.
And they don't change their clientele or their personnel every other month for new people and get rid of all the people that help build their brand and all those kind of cool things.
Hey, I don't have a leg to stand on. I'm not getting paid by anybody.
I'm not either, by the way.
Not saying that you are. Not insinuating that you are.
But they are taking my bike up to Mama Tried for me right now, so they are going to get the better end of my opinions.
Great people. Yeah. I would never have a bad thing to say ever. So
is what's the name still with Bell? Brett?
Who's that? D?
So
D's nuts.
come on.
That's the end. Goodbye. Forever Rad.
I hope you guys enjoyed that time that we spent together. That sounded weird. Anyway, I have some events and dates for you guys looking to get out on your bike and do some cool shit. March 21st through the 24th at Salmon Lake Park in Grapeland, Texas. That's not too far outside of Dallas. We have Nitty Gritty Chopper City. It's got a swap meet, live music, chopper show, industry vendors. There's free primitive camping included in the entry fee. It's going to be a good time. Me and the wife are going to be heading out to it, probably camping. Hopefully we'll see you guys out there. Followed by May 2nd through the 5th, you already know the famous K River Campground in Moyers, Oklahoma. It's our 7th annual Fast Life Campout. My friends and I have hosted this event since 2018, and it's a perfect opportunity to ride one of the most slept on parts of the country, along with some grassroots good fucking times. Come on, guys. We hope to see you out there. Finally, leading into the summer months, we have the River City Bike Expo in Owensboro, Kentucky, May 31st to the June 2nd. Head on over to rivercitybikeexpo.com for more details on the event. And I'm going to try to make that one. We'll see. I think it's the same weekend as the East Coast FXR Jam. I don't know. I'll have to double check that. But anyway, I know Thundermax. I know a lot of people are going to be at that one. Probably going to be a good indoor style event. You should check it out. Our Patreon community is growing. If you dig these podcasts and want to gain access to our Patreon-only Garage Talk podcast, as well as get access to the growing group chat to meet others and all that good shit, there's a link in the description below. Click it, join it, download the app, and come say hi. I really appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. If you don't mind, wherever you are listening to the show at, please give it a like or rate it, review it, whatever the platform calls for. It's a huge help, and I greatly appreciate it. Next up on the podcast, we have Clean Moto, hopefully dropping this Friday. Till next time, you guys have a great one, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.